Chapter 1154. Su-yi naturally knew about the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. It was one of the 7 second-rate forces in the Chaos region, and its strength seemed to be about the same as the Heavenly Dipper sect. Previously, in the Alliance Conference, Su-yi had interacted with the young expert named Lu Zhua from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect in the Zhaoling Mystic Realm. As for the deeper level of entanglement, the two sides had not yet. Kid Yu being looked down upon by Su-yi, Luo Jing was anxious. He was about to argue with him, but he was stopped by Elder Zhou again. Kid, this old man won't talk too much nonsense with you. Today, we are here to bestow upon you a great opportunity. I hope that you and your Bawang sect can seize it and not miss it easily. Elder Zhou still raised his head and looked at Su-yi with his eyes raised. As he spoke, he also stretched out a finger and gestured. What opportunity? Hearing this, Su-yi could not help but be curious and could not help but ask in return. However, he sneered in his heart. The Jade Tripod Alchemy sect would probably not bring him any benefit. Moreover, Su-yi was very disgusted. This old man's completely arrogant appearance made him feel very unhappy. However, Su-yi still decided to listen to what the other party had to say first. Our Jade Tripod Alchemy sect has heard a lot about you and the Bawang sect. In addition, we also know about the life and death feud between the Heavenly Dipper sect and you. With the strength of the Bawang sect, once the true experts of the Heavenly Dipper sect come out, you will definitely not be able to withstand them. However, our Jade Tripod Alchemy sect can protect you and the Bawang sect from the attacks of the Heavenly Dipper sect. Elder Zhou paused for a moment, he stretched out a finger again and gestured. The condition is also very simple. Just take out the mineral deposit behind you. Of course, the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect will definitely not let you suffer a loss. We will just split it 9-10. Not only Su-yi, but the Green Emperor, Yang Ming, Yin Ming, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and little handsome Su were all stunned. The Jade Tripod Alchemy sect actually said that they wanted to protect the Bawang sect. This was really something that they did not expect. Moreover, even though Elder Zhou wished that his eyes could grow on top of his head, what he said before was not false. If the Bawang sect really had the protection of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, he would indeed not be afraid of the Heavenly Dipper sect. However, as for the 9-1 split 9-1, that's not a problem at all. Without waiting for anyone to think too much, Su-yi immediately beamed with joy and said happily. The scene suddenly fell silent. The 6 people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, as well as Luo Jing and the Golden Spider, did not react in time. This was something that had been discussed in the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. They had originally wanted to directly attack the Bawang sect and take down the mine. However, with the example of the Heavenly Dipper sect returning in defeat, they did not want to cause too much conflict. If they could easily resolve it and successfully take down the mine without expending a single soldier, it would naturally be the best thing. In fact, the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect had already made plans. Perhaps the Bawang sect would bargain, and they would also relax a little and give a little more share. They would treat it as an investment in advance. After all, Su-yi's talent was really extraordinary, and his future was limitless. However, what everyone present did not expect was that Su-yi would actually agree to Elder Zhou's request without hesitation. Instead, it caught them off guard. Master, Green Emperor, Yang Ming, and the others were all dumbfounded. If it were them, they would not agree to such a request. They did not expect their master to agree to it. Green Emperor and the others opened their mouths and wanted to say something, but they were all interrupted by Su-yi with a wave of his hand. After Elder Zhou was stunned at first, the corners of his mouth slowly curled up. He raised his head even higher and nodded in satisfaction. At least you know what's good for you. He glanced at Su-yi and felt that this youth had become somewhat pleasing to the eye. Su-yi rubbed his hands as if he was very excited. He said, The Jade Tripod Alchemy sect should also know that the prenatal stones in this mine are very rich. Once they are mined, it will be a huge fortune. As he spoke, he unconsciously glanced at Luo Jing. The other party must have reported this situation to the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. There are so many prenatal stones. Take out 10% to give to the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect in exchange for a powerful backer that can protect the Bawang sect and block the Heavenly Dipper sect for us. This is definitely a good deal. Only a fool wouldn't do it. Su Yi continued. Hearing this, the scene once again fell into a short silence. Everyone looked at the excited youth with strange gazes. Kid, don't be mistaken. Our Jade Tripod Alchemy sect wants 90%. That 10% is for your Bawang sect. Elder Zhou's eyes bulged as he suddenly snorted and said. Unconsciously, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. The way he looked at Su Yi was also filled with mockery. In front of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, a small Bawang sect dared to ask for 90% of the mineral deposits? Who gave him the guts? Of all the people present, perhaps only this young man would think this way. What? Didn't we take 90%? Su Yi seemed to be completely unable to keep up with everyone's rhythm. He looked at Elder Zhou in disbelief and said with a face full of surprise, "That won't do. 10% of the prenatal stones is too little. My Bawang sect can't agree." Su Yi hurriedly waved his hand. Then, he suddenly paused and looked at Elder Zhou. With a serious face he said, "Elder Zhou, how about this? My Bawang sect will take 90% of the prenatal stones and give 10% to the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Then, every year, the Bawang sect will take out an additional 10 one-star prenatal stones for you. If there's more, there's no room for discussion." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell silent again. One could hear a pin drop. Under Su Yi's gaze, he saw Elder Zhou's head, which had been held high all this time, lower bit by bit and look at him at the same level. That old face, on the other hand, was elongated bit by bit. It was filled with an ashen color. Veins bulged on his forehead, swollen to the size of beans. "Kid, you're playing with me." Such words were squeezed out from Elder Zhou's throat. It was cold and sinister. At this point, how could he not understand that this kid was completely making fun of him? The other party was not stupid. He was pretending to be stupid. He was purely playing with him. "So what if I'm playing with you?" At this moment, the sneer on Su Yi's face was no longer concealed. He stood in the air and faced Elder Zhou. He said coldly, "What is your Jade Tripod Alchemy sect? Do you really think that my Bawang sect is easy to bully? Not to mention 10% of the prenatal stones, my Bawang sect will not give you a single prenatal stone in this mine. As for 90%, that's even more wishful thinking." Just now, Su Yi was of course pretending to be stupid. What kind of joke was this? He wanted to take away 90% of the prenatal stones in the mine with just one sentence. Did he think that the Bawang sect was a fool? Su Yi's eyes were clear. A terrifying aura was emitted from his body without anyone noticing. Such an aura made the group of Origin Emperor Realm experts feel a trace of fear in their hearts. "Kid, how dare you? How dare you tease Elder Zhou?" Luo Jing quickly regained his senses and shouted at Su Yi. He had never expected that this youth would still be so arrogant in front of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. "Ha ha ha, boss, good job. So that's what Master meant, haha. That's right. What is the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect? They actually came to my Bawang sect's territory to show off." In an instant, Handsome Su, Green Emperor, Yang Ming, and the others all laughed out loud. Only then did they realize that they had misunderstood Su Yi earlier. Seeing that Elder Zhou of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect was being played, Handsome Su, Green Emperor, and the others all felt extremely relieved. From the beginning, the other party's arrogant attitude, coupled with his tone of giving alms, made people very unhappy. Now they finally vented their anger. Good. Very good. The veins on Elder Zhou's forehead bulged and his face kept twitching. He stared at Su Yi and gritted his teeth. Elder Zhou was already on the verge of flying into a rage, and his face was long. In the entire Chaos region, how many people dared to play with the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect like this? Since the words had already been torn apart, Su Yi naturally did not say anything else. His robes fluttered without wind as he slowly took a step forward. His gaze swept across all the experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, as well as Luo Jing and the Golden Spider. Let me give you a piece of advice. Get lost immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. When such words came out of Su Yi's mouth, his eyes were filled with killing intent, causing people to feel a chill down their spines. At some point in time, Su Yi had already held a large saber in his hand. He poured his vitality into it, swallowing and spitting it out, releasing a sharp light. I've long heard that you're arrogant enough. Seeing is better than hearing 100 times. Today, I've opened my eyes. Elder Zhou said with a cold expression. They were sent here by the sect master. They originally thought that they would be able to successfully complete the mission without spending too much effort. No matter how arrogant the Bawang sect was, they couldn't offend the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect after having a great enemy like the Heavenly Dipper sect, right? Therefore, almost everyone in the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect unanimously believed that as long as they made a request, Su Yi would definitely commit it and not dare to disobey. However, the current situation was completely different from what they had imagined. I've already given you a chance. It's you who doesn't cherish it. Then wait for the consequences. Elder Zhou flicked his sleeve and said fiercely. Elder Jean, who was like a wild lion, was also furious. He continued, the Bawang sect is just waiting to be destroyed. Everyone will be killed. As soon as these words were said, Su Yi's brows suddenly raised, and his eyes widened. You want to destroy the Bawang sect, right? Very good. Then I'll leave all of your lives behind first. Killing intent shot out from his eyes, rolling layer by layer. The large saber in his hand suddenly slashed out, and a resplendent saber light was activated, brazenly charging towards the crowd opposite him. At the slightest disagreement, he drew his saber. Brat, you're courting death. Elder Zhou and Elder Jean were both furious, and their eyes widened. Once again, it was beyond their expectations that this brat actually dared to attack the people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. You're the ones courting death. My Bawang sect is not a place where you can behave atrociously. Since you're here, then all of you can die. Chapter 1155. As Su Yi drew his saber and attacked, a great battle broke out between the experts of the two sides. This time, there were quite a number of people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. There were a total of 6 of them. In addition to Luo Jing and the Golden Spider from the Heavenly Spider sect, there were a total of 8 Origin Emperor Realm experts. Moreover, half of these 8 people were above the 5th level of the Origin Emperor Realm. Elder Zhou and Elder Jean were both at the 8th level of the Origin Emperor Realm. A mere Bawang sect dares to challenge my Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. You're simply tired of living. Elder Zhou's expression had already changed. His figure suddenly moved and charged straight towards Su Yi, wanting to capture the youth first. Die, old thief! A vast green light split the void and directly blocked in front of Su Yi. Within the endless green light, a snake-type phantom swept fiercely and ruthlessly whipped towards Elder Zhou's head. The cultivation of the 8th level of the Demon Emperor Realm instantly erupted. Demonic aura surged and rushed in all directions. The phantom snake tail moved with an aura that could tear the sky and earth apart, possessing the power to destroy mountains and seas. Such a scene caused Elder Zhou's eyes to suddenly shrink, and his heart began to tremble. 8th level of the Demon Emperor Realm. How is this possible? Elder Zhou could not believe it. According to some previous intelligence, There were indeed a few beast emperors in the Bawang sect, but the strongest cultivation was only at the 5th level of the demon emperor realm. Who would have thought that a beast emperor here was actually at the 8th level of the demon emperor realm? This was too terrifying. Elder Zhou himself was at the 8th level of the origin emperor realm, but if he fought with an 8th level demon emperor realm, he would definitely be trampled. Without any time to think, Elder Zhou hurriedly stopped his forward momentum. The vitality in his body surged and quickly gathered on his arms. Then, both of his hands took a blocking stance at the same time, facing the phantom snake tail of the Green Emperor. Bang! The two collided and a muffled sound echoed. Accompanied by a muffled groan from Elder Zhou's throat, his body shot backwards like an arrow leaving the bow, drawing a straight line and smashing into the ground. Boom! With a loud rumble, rocks and dust flew everywhere. Elder Zhou had smashed a 2-zhang deep crater in the mountain range below. The Green Emperor is so strong now. Su Yi had already retreated to the back and did not continue to attack. Instead, he looked at the battle that had already erupted. Ever since the Green Emperor had broken through to the 8th level Demon Emperor realm, this was the first time that he had defeated an expert of the 8th level Origin Emperor realm. My Jade Tripod Alchemy clan will definitely not let you off. A moment later, a furious roar came from the deep pit. Elder Zhou flew out in ragged clothes, swaying and looking incomparably miserable. His face was full of anger. Even now, he still found it hard to believe that the Bawang sect had dared to attack them so heavily. You're still spouting nonsense at this time. Do you really think that the Jade Tripod Alchemy clan can protect you? The Green Emperor sneered, as if he had already planned this. The moment Elder Zhou flew out of the pit, his figure flashed again and brazenly struck out with his palm. Boundless green light shot out and directly pressed down on Elder Zhou's head. The sound of vomiting blood rang out. Elder Zhou was ruthlessly slapped back into the deep pit by this palm. Another huge shock occurred between the mountain ranges. This time, it was unknown how much the hole had sunk this time. So strong. Seeing this scene, Su Yi's eyelids twitched. He was shocked by the Green Emperor's strength. This was an absolute crushing posture, and Elder Zhou could not resist at all. In fact, it was not only the Green Emperor who had such a domineering posture. On the other side, Yin Ming and Yang Ming were also peerlessly powerful, causing Su Yi's eyes to tremble. At this moment, Yin Ming, who was dressed in a black dress, gently twisted her waist and was fighting with Elder Jin, who was also at the 8th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Demonic aura surged around her body, and black fog filled the air. It transformed into a sharp black longsword and slashed horizontally in the void. After a few exchanges, it left a few bone-deep wounds on Elder Jin's chest, causing him to be seriously injured. On Yang Ming's side, he blocked Luo Jing and Golden Spider at the same time. Fighting 1 against 2, he also occupied an absolute crushing position. Under the suppression of these two, the 3 Origin Emperor realm experts could not even escape. Kill! On the other side, the Spirit-Devouring Emperor blocked the remaining 4 Jade Tripod Alchemy clan experts alone. These 4 people's cultivation bases were all below the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. They were not considered strong. With his strength alone, it might not be easy to kill all of them in a short period of time. However, it was still very easy to stop them and prevent them from escaping. In fact, the ones who were the most terrified were Luo Jing and Golden Spider. No matter what, they could not understand. The last time they came here to fight with the Bawang sect, these beast emperors were only at the 5th level of the Demon Emperor realm. It had only been a short while, but 3 8th level beast emperors had appeared. The Spirit-Devouring Emperor had also reached the peak of the 6th level of the Demon Emperor realm. Such a transformation was too terrifying, beyond their imagination. Boss, I'll go first. On Su Yi's shoulder, Su Xiaoshuai's eyes flickered for a while before he suddenly spoke. Go and help them. Let's end this quickly. Sui nodded and said. Then, Su Xiaoshui flew away. However, the direction he went made Sui stare at him. He did not go to the spirit-devouring emperor to help him quickly take down the 4 people of the Jade Tripod sect. Instead, he plunged into the distant mountain range. Under Su Yi's stunned gaze, after a short while, he saw Su Xiaoshui fly back with a big bird in his 2 claws. It was the mount of the Jade Tripod sect and the others. Hee, boss, I'm going to help the spirit-devouring emperor. Roast meat for me later. Su Xiaoshui grabbed the big bird that did not dare to move and threw it in front of Sui. Then, he directly entered the battlefield. Sui could only smile bitterly at this. With the addition of Su Xiaoshui, the 5 emperors of the Bawang sect faced the 8 people of the Jade Tripod sect. There was no pressure at all. The Green Emperor stood guard outside the pit. Streaks and streaks of green light shot out, suppressing Elder Zhou until there was no more movement coming from the pit. Old thing, you're finally obedient now. The Green Emperor barged into the pit and pulled out a soft figure. At this moment, Elder Zhou looked like he was on the verge of death. His entire body was covered in blood, and his clothes were tattered. His face was dispirited, and he no longer had the arrogant and overbearing appearance from before. Kneel. Almost at the same time, Yang Ming directly captured Luo Jing and the Golden Spider and threw them in front of Sui. He also knew that the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor had been poisoned by the Golden Spider, so it was necessary to keep these 2 alive. Master, how should we deal with this old thing? Yin Ming also carried Elder Jean, who was covered in wounds, and landed in front of Sui and asked. Of course, we'll kill him directly. Before Sui could speak, Su Xiaoshui's voice was heard. The remaining 4 Jade Tripod sect origin emperors were completely unable to resist in the hands of him and the spirit-devouring emperor. The 4 of them were instantly severely injured. Sui flapped his wings. A terrifying force was brewing, preparing to kill all 4 of them. You can't kill us, Elder Zhou, Elder Jean, Luo Jing, Golden Spider, and the rest of the 8 were all crestfallen. It was only now that they understood that the Overlord sect was truly ferocious. They did not put any other powers in their eyes at all. Only now did they truly believe that Sui really dared to kill them. Wait. Seeing that Su Xiaoshui was about to make a move, Sui stopped him in time. And this voice was like the sound of nature in the ears of Elder Zhou and the others. Why are we still keeping these people? Su Xiaoshui asked in confusion, but he still stopped what he was doing. Let's keep them alive first. They might be of some use. After all, these 6 people have the identity of the Jade Tripod sect. Sui suddenly changed his mind and did not intend to kill these people. He said, seal all of their cultivation and throw them into the mine to mine for prenatal stones first. Yes, master. Green Emperor and the others nodded in agreement. Then, without any delay, they directly landed restrictions on Elder Zhou, Elder Jean, and the others. Then, they brought the 8 people of the Jade Tripod sect into the mine like they were carrying little chick. As for Luo Jing and the Golden Spider, they were still pressed in front of Sui by Yang Ming. They did not have the slightest ability to resist. You're the sect master of the Heavenly Spider sect, right? Sui gently walked to the side of the 2 of them. My lord, it's my fault. I shouldn't have. Luo Jing was completely terrified. Only now did he truly see Sui's fierce side. He could not help but immediately open his mouth in a trembling voice, wanting to beg for mercy. However, his words were only halfway through when he abruptly stopped. Sui suddenly waved his palm, carrying a boundless blazing aura. Flames shot out like a red-hot iron palm. It directly imprinted on Luo Jing's head. With a bang, the head of the 7th-level Origin Emperor Realm Expert exploded, turning into a cloud of blood mist. Sui waved his sleeve lightly and dispersed the blood mist. Luo Jing. When the Golden Spider saw this scene, He immediately cried out in alarm and was stunned on the spot. Immediately, endless grief surged on his face and tears brewed in his eyes. A 5th-level Demon Emperor realm expert actually cried just like that. This made Su-Yi extremely surprised. "Since you've done some things, you have to pay the price," Su-Yi said indifferently. If Luo Jing did not go to the Jade Tripod sect to deal with the Bawang sect, he would still consider subduing him and merging the Heavenly Spider sect into the Bawang sect. But now, Su-Yi only wanted to kill him. "As for you," Su-Yi's eyes were clear as he stared at the golden spider and said indifferently, "Seeing that you're a demon, I'll give you a chance to live. Hand over the antidote to the sky demon poison and submit to me. I'll spare you from death." He just stared at the golden spider, waiting for his answer. "Human, you want me to submit? Don't even think about it." The golden spider gritted his teeth hatefully. His face was filled with unconcealable grief. Luo Jing's death made him extremely sad. Chapter 1156. To Golden Spider, Luo Jing was both a benefactor and a relative. He led the Heaven Fiend Poisonous Spider Clan and established the Celestial Spider Sect with Luo Jing. After decades of operation, it finally became a third-rate force. Unexpectedly, all of this began to change after meeting the Bawang sect. Seeing Luo Jing die at the hands of Su-Yi, Golden Spider could not submit to this young man no matter what. There was only hatred in his heart. "Are you so loyal?" Su-Yi did not know the relationship between Luo Jing and Golden Spider, nor did he want to know. He only smiled coldly and said, "Only death awaits those who refuse to submit." After saying that, he turned around and rushed toward the mine. At the same time, he motioned for Yang Ming to take Golden Spider with him. "Kid, is it done?" Su-Yi returned to the main hall of the cave where Merciless West was cultivating. He naturally sensed what had happened outside, but he did not make a move because the Green Emperor, Yang Ming, and Yin Ming were now terrifyingly powerful. "Big brother, I'll leave Golden Spider to you." Under Su-Yi's instructions, Yang Ming threw Golden Spider on the ground. The Heaven Fiend poison in the Dragon Rhino Emperor had not been cured yet and was temporarily suppressed by Merciless West's elixir. However, now that Golden Spider was captured, Merciless West could definitely refine the antidote with his ability. A Heaven Fiend Poisonous Spider at the 5th-level Demon Emperor stage. How rare! After seeing Golden Spider, Merciless West's eyes lit up and said, "Kid, don't worry. As long as we get his blood essence, we can refine the antidote. Moreover, the demonic core in the Skyfiend Poisonous Spider is a rare treasure that is of great use to Feng Qi." Su-Yi raised an eyebrow, but he wasn't too surprised. The Heaven Fiend Poisonous Spider was known for its intense poison, and Feng Qi had the Calamity Qi Poison Soul, which was also highly toxic. If Golden Spider's demon core was refined, it would probably benefit Feng Qi a lot. "I'll immediately prepare to refine the pill." Merciless West suddenly became excited. The Golden Spider's demonic core was not an ordinary item. It was a rare benefit. As for refining Dawn, it was not a difficult task. As long as he obtained the blood essence of the Golden Spider and supplemented it with other Dawn, it would be very simple. Su-Yi nodded. Without saying anything else, he went to find a place to cultivate. He had been cultivating the third style of 8 Desolation Wrath, 9 Extinction Heaven shaking heaven and earth. However, he had yet to truly master it. The requirements for this move were extremely high. It required the power of 9 footprints to continuously stack until the final step had the power to shake the universe. However, Su-Yi could only roughly execute 9 kicks at the moment. His coordination was still lacking. In addition, Su-Yi didn't give up on the cultivation of Yuan-Yang Heavenly Bone. There were only dozens of bones left to be tempered. However, this process was very slow. It would take more than half a year even if he went all out without stopping. Time passed quickly. Su-yi had been cultivating for 7 days. He had made some progress in the 9 extinction heaven shaking heaven and earth, and was much more proficient in it. While practicing martial arts, Su-yi also completed another piece of the Yuanyang heavenly bone. Huff, huff, huff. Just as this piece of Yuanyang heavenly bone was officially completed, a storm suddenly appeared in the mysterious space. Divine light filled the sky. It was as if a deity had descended to earth. Waves of pressure and momentum were impressive. Su-yi's body began to swirl with boundless power. Layers of demonic but not evil aura rolled out, causing the entire space to tremble. Kaboom! A bolt of lightning suddenly struck down from the sky. The roars of dragons, tigers, birds, and turtles could be heard in the void, releasing a monstrous aura. At the same time, the 4 elemental powers of earth, fire, water, and wind were boiling around Su-yi. It was a magnificent sight. In the midst of this, the primordial qi on Su-yi's body began to fluctuate wildly. The great void divine sea in his body surged with monstrous waves, shaking the 9 heavens. This kid is actually going to break through again? The blood jasper spirit ginseng came out from the spiritual herb field and said in shock. Until now, Su-yi's cultivation had far surpassed him. This was quite a blow to the blood jasper spirit ginseng. I've been staying in this space, but I still can't beat this kid. The blood jasper spirit ginseng smiled bitterly. He did not know how long it would take for him to break through to the demon emperor realm. However, there was one thing he was sure of. Su-yi would probably be able to reach the origin emperor realm soon. The blood jasper spirit ginseng felt helpless, but his eyes were still looking at the scene in the distance in shock. The vast aura was still growing rapidly, wrapping Su-yi's figure in it. The momentum in the mysterious space was vast, and it lasted for nearly a day. After this day, the scene slowly dissipated, and Su-yi's figure appeared. Swoosh! 2 pairs of clear eyes suddenly opened, turning into a sharp light that seemed to have materialized. Su-yi let out a long breath and suppressed all the qi in his body. The strength of the 6th level of the Origin Void stage is still far from enough. Su-yi sat cross-legged and felt the breakthrough in his cultivation. He muttered to himself, but there was not much joy on his face. The enemies he was facing now were too powerful. Not to mention the distant Holy Mountain, just in the Chaos region alone, there was a second-rate force like the Heavenly Dipper sect. And a few days ago they had captured all 6 people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. The Jade Tripod Alchemy sect would definitely not give up just like that. In addition, there were also some hidden enemies, such as the first-rate force, the Blood Sun sect. These were all problems that Su-yi needed to face. With the Bawang sect's current strength, it was not enough to fight head-on with second-rate forces like the Heavenly Dipper sect and the Jade Tripod sect. Once the experts of those forces appeared, it would be absolutely troublesome. Perhaps if they hid in the illusory spirit world, the Heavenly Dipper sect and the Jade Tripod sect would not be able to do anything to them. Even if the other party had experts with a foundation, they would be able to barely block them. However, if the Bawang sect wanted to rise, they could not treat the illusory spirit world as a paradise and hide in it forever. In the end, the improvement of one's strength was the most important thing. Let's go out and take a look at the situation first. Su-yi suddenly withdrew all his thoughts and stopped thinking about it. He stood up and walked out of the mysterious space and found his big brother, Merciless West, and the others. Su-yi. The moment Su-yi stepped into the hall, a beautiful figure stood up happily. It was Feng Qi. Kid, you broke through again? Merciless West, Green Emperor, and the others' eyes narrowed as they looked at Su-yi and asked in surprise. I've left the vast spirit realm for so long, but I've only broken through 1 level. Su-yi shook his head, not caring about such a result. After breaking through several levels on the Nirvana Dragon platform, Su-yi had been consolidating his cultivation during this period of time. It was only recently that he broke through another level. You brat! Merciless West rolled her eyes at Su-yi in annoyance. This brat's cultivation speed was simply flying. In comparison, the outstanding disciples of those first-rate factions were nothing at all. Has the antidote for the Heaven Sha poison been refined? Su-yi looked at Merciless West and asked. Don't worry, it has been refined and sent to the sect. It has been given to the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor to consume. I also brought this little girl over. I used the Golden Spider's demon core as the main material to refine a Heaven Sha soul fusion pill. I want to use your space to help her make more breakthroughs. Merciless West's eyes lit up like stars as she said to Su-yi. Heaven Sha soul fusion pill. Su-yi paused. After he found the information about the Heaven Sha soul fusion pill in his mind, he felt a chill run down his spine. The Heaven Sha soul fusion pill was a type of poison pill. Its effect was countless times more terrifying than the bone-devouring pill. After consuming the Heaven Sha soul fusion pill, no one could make the antidote according to its medicinal properties unless the person refining the pill did it personally. Without the antidote, the person who consumed the pill would not die quickly. Instead, their soul would gradually be devoured by the Heaven Sha Qi and they would lose their intelligence. Under the control of the terrifying Heaven Sha Qi, their physical body would only be left with the instinct to kill. When there was no one to kill, the person who consumed the pill would unintentionally kill himself. It was like a death by 1,000 cuts, cutting off his own flesh piece by piece. Su-yi felt his scalp go numb when he heard the contents of the letter. Most people were willing to spend a lot of effort to refine this heavenly fiend soul fusion pill. Normally, it was for the person they hated the most. They wanted the other party to be controlled by the heavenly fiend Qi and die a horrible death. Through this, they could obtain the pleasure of revenge. Su-yi did not expect that his brother, Merciless West, would be able to refine such a pill. It was truly shocking. The Heaven Sha soul fusion pill is a highly toxic item to most people. Just hearing its name would make one's scalp go numb. But for this little girl, it's a rare treasure. Merciless West knew what Su-yi was thinking. He could not help but say to him, "This girl's calamity Qi and poison soul have been controlled. The cultivation method I gave her is enough for her to continue cultivating. She may even become a powerful person in this world. However, although the quality of her soul is very high, there are not many treasures that are truly suitable for her. This Heaven Sha soul fusion pill, on the other hand, has an extremely strong tempering effect on her soul. With the help of that mysterious space of yours, she will definitely be able to improve greatly. If that's the case, our Bawang sect is going to have another powerful soul controller?" Hearing Merciless West's words, Su-yi understood in his heart. At the same time, he was extremely happy. Feng Qi had been trapped by the Calamity Qi and Poison Soul. Not long ago, under Merciless West's guidance, she was able to completely control it. Moreover, she had been making breakthroughs and was about to reach the Yuan Zhen realm. According to his brother, if she improved greatly again, then the Bawang sect would have another powerful soul controller. Su-yi felt happy just thinking about it. That's right. Chapter 1157. Transform it into a treasure? Su-yi was stunned. That was too strange. However, he did not think too much about it. After all, he knew nothing about alchemy and equipment refinement. You'll know when the time comes. Merciless West smirked and said, "But I won't force her. As for whether she can succeed or not, it all depends on her luck." As he spoke, he looked at Feng Qi with the pill bottle in his hand and asked, "Little girl, you should know the effects of the Heaven Demon Soul Fusion pill. Do you dare to take it?" Feng Qi replied without hesitation, "As long as I have the chance to improve my strength and repay you for giving me a new life, Feng Qi has nothing to fear." Her words were clear as she reached out her slender hand and took the pill from Merciless West's hand. Sui looked at this scene and felt a strange sense of absent-mindedness. When he first met Feng Qi, she was just a little girl with no friends. She hid many things in her heart and did not know who to share them with. But now there was a huge change in her temperament. Her every movement revealed an otherworldly charm. "Very good." Merciless West smiled and nodded in satisfaction. Since the first time he met Feng Qi, he had taken a fancy to her poisoned soul talent and wanted to nurture her. Now that he saw the changes in the girl, Merciless West was gratified. "Then let's not delay any longer. I also want to see what kind of power this calamity aura poisoned soul talent has," Sui said impatiently. After instructing the Green Emperor and the others, he brought Merciless West and Feng Qi into the mysterious space again. Feng Qi sat cross-legged on an open space and entered a state of cultivation. Sui looked at her quietly. He saw wisps of black gas rising from the girl's body. Even the slightest bit of it was enough to make one's soul feel uncomfortable. And this was under the circumstance that Suyi's soul force was exceptionally terrifying. If it had been an ordinary person, this poisonous gas would have been enough to cause severe pain to their soul. It was even possible that they would have been directly wiped out. After consuming the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion pill, Feng Qi-er's aura changed again. In the terrifying black gas around her, a black shadow seemed to appear, entangling her soul force like a devil, wanting to devour her soul force. However, Feng Qi channeled her primal qi and combined it with the cultivation method taught by Merciless West to fight the Black Devil's shadow. Both of them wanted to suppress the other and devour it. That's the remnant soul power of the Golden Spider. It has an instinctive consciousness that is affected by the baleful aura. Looking at the demon, Merciless West said, "Big brother, Feng Qi-er's cultivation is still not that strong. Can she really withstand the effects of the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion pill?" Sui said worriedly as he looked at Feng Qi-er's condition. He could clearly see that the power of the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion pill was far stronger than Feng Qi-er's. Strictly speaking, the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion pill was almost at the level of a yellow-grade elixir. Ordinary Origin Emperors would not be able to withstand its terrifying toxicity, not to mention Feng Qi, who was not even at the Yuanzhen realm. "Don't worry, she can definitely do it. She can even successfully cultivate the cultivation method passed down in our sect and control the calamity aura and poisonous soul. This is a small matter," Merciless West said in a deep voice, but there were ripples in his eyes as he was a little worried. Merciless West had a certain degree of confidence in refining such an elixir for Feng Qi to consume. The two of them did not say much as they stared at Feng Qi without blinking. Powerful soul force fluctuations and the spreading of the poisonous gas caused the surrounding space to seem to be dyed with a layer of black. The Black Devil's shadow kept pouncing on Feng Qi, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It let out a soundless howl as it tried to devour her. The Devil's shadow waved its claws, and the sharp claws tore the black gas around Feng Qi into pieces again and again. However, Feng Qi did not give up. The black gas condensed again and again, turning into a thick fog as it tried to envelop the Devil's shadow and refine it. This was a tug-of-war that had been going on for a long time. Sui watched from the side and could feel the immense danger in it. However, he was also surprised to find that Feng Qi was actually able to resist the Devil's shadow. Although she did not have the upper hand for a while, there was a lot of sweat on her forehead. Is the calamity aura and poisonous soul that powerful? Sui was extremely shocked and could not believe that Feng Qi could do this. He only felt that if he had consumed the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion pill before reaching the Yuanzhen realm, would his soul force be torn to pieces by the Devil's shadow? Apart from her, There are probably not many people in this world who can resist the Heaven Fiend's soul fusion pill with such cultivation. Merciless West lamented. However, at the same time, he unconsciously glanced at Sui, thinking that perhaps this kid could do the same. Sui did not notice this as he was still staring straight at Feng Qi. As time passed, it could be clearly seen that the black fog around Feng Qi-er's body continued to be emitted, enveloping the devil's shadow layer after layer. Under such a great consumption, the devil's shadow seemed to be weakening. Until a certain moment when the devil's shadow weakened again, the black fog around Feng Qi-er's body suddenly surged out, trapping the devil's shadow in an absolutely powerful manner. Roar, Sui and Merciless West could clearly hear the devil's roars and roars with their soul perception, which contained an absolutely ruthless aura. The black fog around Feng Qi-er's body was constantly fluctuating as if it was suffering from a great impact. "You must hang in there." Merciless West's eyes shone brightly as he unconsciously clenched his fists, secretly cheering for Feng Qi. Sui also felt nervous as he looked ahead without moving. After a long time, they gradually saw that the fluctuations were getting smaller and smaller, while Feng Qi-er's black fog was still intact, which made them feel slightly more relaxed. "Is she going to succeed?" Sui muttered. He only felt that the process after Feng Qi-er swallowed the Heaven Fiend's soul fusion pill was a little too thrilling. It's still too early to succeed, but the situation should be stabilized. The main thing now is to grind. As long as this little girl doesn't rush and takes it step by step, there won't be a big problem. Shi Wuqing heaved a sigh of relief and said with a relaxed expression on his face. Sui also smiled when he saw this. "Big brother, you still haven't told me what the magical use of this giant soul stone is." Suddenly, Sui changed the topic and looked at a place in the mysterious space. There was a lustrous green stone standing quietly on the ground. "That's a good thing." Hearing Sui's question, Merciless West also retracted his gaze from Feng Qi. He and Sui flew out together and landed next to the lustrous green stone. This stone was found when they plundered the 7-Star Sword School's primordial stone mine. At that time, Sui looked at it and immediately fell into an extremely realistic illusion, almost falling down. If one touched it with their primordial qi or body, the power in the giant soul stone would enter one's body and cause a huge impact on one's soul. "Big brother, didn't you say that this thing has magical uses? What is it?" Sui asked curiously. The giant soul stone had been in the mysterious space for a long time, and he had not studied it properly. Merciless West was not in a hurry to answer Sui. Instead, he sat down in front of the giant soul stone. Since Feng Qi-er's situation had almost stabilized, he did not need to worry about her. Therefore, Merciless West looked at Sui indifferently and asked, "Kid, have you studied the soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul control rune shield?" The soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul control rune shield, of course, Sui knew about these two things. At the auction in Zhongzhou City, the Sacred Mountain bought a soul manipulation killing talisman, and later used it to deal with him in the Saint Martial secret world. Fortunately, before that, the Spirit Treasures Pavilion gave him a soul control rune shield, which blocked the soul manipulation killing talisman. Otherwise, he would have died. I haven't studied these two things in depth. I only read about them in the Palace of Drive, so I don't know much. Sui also sat down and said to Merciless West. Speaking of interests, Sui was much more interested in the phantom spirit world than the soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul control rune shield. Therefore, even if he had the time, he would rather study the phantom spirit world. After all, the soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul control rune shield were not very useful to true powerhouses. However, they were very useful to the young disciples of the major forces when they went out to train. The soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul control rune shield are also the means of soul manipulation masters. They can condense the power of remnant souls and seal them. When used, they can be activated by Yuan Qi. They can erupt with great power or form a strong defense. Merciless West said softly, "The greatest use of the giant soul stone is when refining the soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul control rune shield." As he spoke, Merciless West took out a space bag, took out some things, and placed them on the ground. There were not many kinds of things, only a few, but Sui saw through them at a glance. These are the materials for refining the soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul control rune shield. He saw some palm-sized things with flowing lights. Their shapes were similar to the soul manipulation killing talisman, but they did not emit the dangerous aura of the soul manipulation killing talisman. Yes, the soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul control rune shield are not very useful to true powerhouses. However, at a critical moment, they may be life-saving items. Merciless West picked up an item from the ground and put it in his hand. He said lightly, "Therefore, you can prepare some of these things in case you need them." Chapter 1158. In front of an absolute powerhouse, the soul manipulation talisman and the soul manipulation talisman shield could only be regarded as small trick. However, if two experts of similar strength were to fight each other, and both sides were exhausted, if one of them took out a soul-controlling talisman, then it was very likely that they would be able to secure the victory, or even take the opponent's life. When used in this way, the absolute value of the soul manipulation talisman could be demonstrated. For example, when Chu Zhonghuan was suppressed by Su Yi in the Sacred Mountain in the Sacred Martial Secret World, he suddenly took out a soul manipulation talisman and turned the situation around instantly. It could be said that if not for the soul manipulation talisman shield given by the Lingbao Pavilion, Su Yi would have died on the spot. "Then, brother, what does this have to do with the giant soul stone?" Sui asked again. "Don't worry, I'll tell you slowly." Merciless West waved his hand and signaled Sui to be quiet. Then he said to himself, "The soul manipulation talisman and the soul manipulation talisman shield need this soul talisman to carry and seal the power of the remnant soul." He tossed the palm-sized object in his hand before continuing, "It's not troublesome to refine this thing. The troublesome part is to draw out the remnant soul and seal it within it before creating the soul-controlling killing talisman. This is a matter that consumes a lot of spiritual strength. With my current soul strength, if I want to make a soul manipulation talisman that is equal to my full strength attack, at least 30% of my soul strength will be consumed." 30%. Su-Yi was a little shocked. This consumption was a little too high. In other words, if his brother tried his best to make it, he could only make 3 soul manipulation talismans at a time. This efficiency was too low. It seemed that this kind of refining was much more exhausting than using the remnant soul to fight. In the process of sealing the remnant soul, it consumes a lot of soul strength. This can't be helped. After all, it's not easy to keep the soul manipulation talisman and the soul manipulation talisman shield for a long time. Otherwise, if something goes wrong and it explodes beside you, it will be your own death. Merciless West said softly. "I see." Su-Yi nodded in understanding. Sealing soul strength was actually the most important thing. Otherwise, carrying this thing around would be like carrying a ticking time bomb. His heart would definitely be tight and he wouldn't be able to sleep well. At this point, Merciless West once again looked at the green stone in front of her and slowly said, "And this is where the effect of this giant soul stone lies. It has a great suppressive effect on soul force. When we mobilize the power of the remnant soul, we can borrow the power of the giant soul stone to easily suppress and seal the remnant soul, which can greatly reduce the consumption of soul power." "Can it have such an effect?" Su-Yi was surprised. He had indeed discovered the terrifying suppression of soul force by the giant soul stone. Back then, hadn't he almost fallen for it? Even though he was sitting there with his current cultivation, he could faintly feel an invisible force trying to pull his soul out of his body. "Let me show you." As Merciless West spoke, she placed the palm-sized object on the giant soul stone, which glowed brightly. Soon after, his 5 fingers began to form a series of hand seals, and a powerful soul force began to emanate from his body. Hoo-hoo! In an instant, from a distant place in the space, a cold wind whistled and quickly gathered in front of Merciless West. Within the cold wind, there was the shadow of a barbaric demon beast, which was roaring angrily. Sui knew that the mysterious space could be connected to the outside world, which was why he could easily lead the remnant soul in. After the barbarian demon beast image appeared, it was originally still roaring nonstop, but under the control of Shi-Qing, when it approached the giant soul stone, it instantly became well-behaved. It was as if it had transformed from a furious beast into a well-behaved kitten. "Seal!" In this situation, Merciless West lightly shouted and pointed her finger. The remnant soul of the barbaric demon beast was sealed in the palm-sized talisman. Shortly after, Merciless West's fingers moved continuously and carved mysterious patterns on the talisman. It was extremely mystical. The entire process was like moving clouds and flowing water. There was not the slightest bit of hindrance. Merciless West's movements looked extremely relaxed. Done. After a while, he threw the completed object on the giant soul stone to Sui and said, "This is the soul manipulation killing talisman. Once it is activated, it can reach 80% of my full strength." 80% of your strength. You can refine it so easily. Sui was astonished as he looked at the soul manipulation killing talisman in his hand. 80% of Big Brother's full strength should be equivalent to the full strength of an 8th-level Origin Emperor. This was definitely a good item that could be used at a crucial moment. Looking at Big Brother's appearance, it seemed to be very easy to refine it. Now you know the use of the giant soul stone. Refining the soul manipulation killing talisman is only one aspect. After all, no one needs too much of this thing. Following this train of thought, this item will be able to develop even more wonderful uses. Facing Suyi's astonished gaze, Merciless West smiled and said, "The giant soul stone was a rare treasure, but it definitely couldn't be used to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul manipulation talisman shield. Big Brother, how many of these soul manipulation killing talismans can you refine in one go?" Sui was astonished and couldn't help but ask Merciless West. "With this giant soul stone, I can refine around 30 of them consecutively. If I want to reach the power of my full strength, I can only refine around 10 of them." Merciless West did a rough calculation and said after a while. Suyi's eyes widened. He could refine around 30 of them with 80% of his strength, and 30 of them with full strength. This number was really terrifying as it increased by more than 3 times in an instant. "Then Big Brother, how long will it take for your soul power to refine the soul manipulation killing talismans after you refine 30 of them?" Sui asked again. "If it's in your space, it will take around half a day to recover," Merciless West said. "How many of them can you refine in one go if you refine them with 50% of their strength?" Sui asked again as he stared at Merciless West with eyes full of expectation. "Around 200 of them." "Why?" Merciless West was puzzled by Suyi's gaze. 200 of them. That's great." Sui suddenly jumped up and said excitedly, "Refine 200 soul manipulation killing talismans in one go with the power of at least a 6th or 7th level Origin Emperor Realm expert. I'm rich." Looking at Suyi's excited expression, Merciless West's face immediately pulled a long face and said angrily, "Kid, did you not hear what I said? I'm just giving you an example to refine the soul manipulation killing talismans. I'm not asking you to use it to refine the soul manipulation killing talismans." He rolled his eyes and had no idea what Sui was so excited about. The giant soul stone shouldn't only be used for this. There should be more uses for it. Whether it was the soul manipulation killing talisman or the soul manipulation talisman shield, it wouldn't be of much use if there were too many of them. These things were worth a little money, but the Bawang sect already had mineral reserve. Would they be lacking in origin stones? Big brother! Look, when can you refine a batch of soul manipulation killing talismans? The more the better. Su-Yi was still immersed in his own excitement as he spoke to Merciless West. He rubbed his hands excitedly and was as happy as a child. What do you need so many soul manipulation killing talismans for? Merciless West was still rolling his eyes. He couldn't understand Su-Yi's thought process at all. The soul manipulation killing talismans couldn't be eaten as food, and it didn't have much use in a fight between real experts. If there were too many of them, it really wouldn't be of much use. Big brother, your thinking is limited. Su-Yi suddenly laughed and said with a longing look, Big brother, imagine if we have an inexhaustible supply of soul manipulation killing talismans in our hands. When the time comes, if any force offends us, we can go to their sect and casually throw down a few thousand soul manipulation killing talismans. What kind of scene would that be? He blinked and stared closely at Merciless West, wanting to see his reaction. Hearing Su-Yi's words, Merciless West was stunned. According to this kid's train of thought, if they really had so many soul manipulation killing talismans, they could go to other sects and randomly throw them down. That would definitely turn the place upside down. Such a scene was beautiful just thinking about it. It was simply unimaginable. Big brother, think about it again. If you refine a soul manipulation killing talisman with 100% of its power and throw out 10 or 20 of them at once, I'm afraid even a first-level origin ancestor powerhouse would be a little fearful. Su-Yi chuckled again. Merciless West's eyes lit up. He was convinced by Su-Yi's train of thought. If that was really the case, then the value of the soul manipulation killing talisman would indeed multiply. Although the Bawang sect's current strength isn't weak, it's definitely not considered strong as a whole. Let's not talk about taking the initiative to attack others. At the very least, when we have so many soul manipulation killing talismans, we won't be strapped for manpower when defending our own sect, Su-Yi continued. In reality, he mainly had the experience of his previous life. The way of war in his previous life was completely different from the way it was in the Sky Barbaric continent. The powerful cannonballs that were thrown out there could have an extremely strong deterrent effect. Here, of course, the logic was the same. Besides, it didn't mean that Su-Yi's brain was nimble enough to think of this level. In reality, a normal person would absolutely not dare to think about it because the soul manipulation killing talisman could only be made by a soul manipulation master. Soul controllers were already rare existences, let alone powerful soul controllers, which were even rarer. Not only that, when making the soul manipulation killing talisman, the consumption of soul power was too great. It was destined that this thing could not be mass-produced and could only be used in small quantities in case of an emergency. However, now that they had the giant soul stone, it seemed like this problem was easily solved. They already possessed the energy to mass-produce the soul manipulation killing talisman. Chapter 1159. Just thinking about it, Su-Yi was full of energy and excitement. You really have a lot of bad ideas in your stomach. Merciless West smiled bitterly. When Su-Yi was up to no good, not many people could withstand it. If he really made a large number of soul manipulation killing talismans, those who offended the Bawang sect would definitely suffer. Su-Yi smiled and suddenly asked, "Oh right, big brother, will the giant soul stone be consumed in the process of using it?" He blinked and had some hope. If the giant soul stone was consumed too quickly, it would be a little troublesome. The soul manipulation killing talismans couldn't be used in large quantities for a long time. Of course it will be consumed. Merciless West confirmed Su-Yi's guess. Hearing this, Su Yi's excitement disappeared by half. However, Merciless West's next words made Su Yi's eyes light up again. If it's used to make the soul manipulation killing talisman, the consumption of this thing is relatively small, but it can't be used continuously. After the energy is consumed, it will become an ordinary stone. However, this giant soul stone has an advantage, which is that it can automatically devour the energy between heaven and earth to recover and even improve its quality. I see. Su Yi nodded. He just knew about this situation. According to this, it was unknown if the 7-star sword sect's mineral reserve was formed because of this Ju soulstone, or if this Ju soulstone was born from within the mineral reserve. Merciless West's meaning was very clear. The giant soul stone could self-repair and absorb spiritual energy to improve its quality. In this mysterious space, there was no need to be afraid of insufficient energy. In other words, even if the energy in the giant soul stone was consumed too much, it could be quickly replenished in the mysterious space. Knowing this, Su Yi was relieved. At least he didn't have to worry about the giant soul stone being useless. Kid, it's not impossible for me to help you refine the soul manipulation killing talisman in batches. With my speed, as long as I have enough materials, I can refine nearly 1,000 of them in a day. I can even refine 100 of them with 80% of their power. However, since I've worked so hard for you, what benefits should you give me? Shi Wuqing looked at Su Yi with his deep eyes, a smile on his lips. He knew that this guy had a lot of good stuff on him. If he didn't take the opportunity to extort some from him, he would be letting himself down. Big brother, you're treating me like an outsider. Now, the Bawang sect doesn't just belong to me. You have a share too. Isn't it our duty to contribute to the Bawang sect? Isn't it a little too vulgar to talk about rewards? Su Yi quickly said. Kid, don't try to deceive me with words. You're the sect master's seat, so you should be the one worrying about resources. It's my duty to work for the Bawang sect, but even an emperor among ordinary people doesn't lack hungry soldiers. Even if you give me the position of a high priest, you can't order me around for free, right? Small things like guarding the mine are fine, but refining the soul manipulation killing talisman in batches will consume a lot of resources. Merciless West took out a gourd and took a sip, then rolled his eyes and said. He was secretly regretting his actions. He shouldn't have exposed his background to this kid. He should have negotiated with Su Yi more about the price. Su Yi suddenly felt helpless. He took out 2 bottles of spirit liquid from his space bag and handed them to Merciless West. He said, Big brother, you're too good at extorting people now. There's not much spirit liquid left. Big brother, drink it sparingly. Looking at Su Yi's bitter smile, Merciless West didn't hesitate. He snatched the 2 bottles of spirit liquid and put them into his space bag. Merciless West actually had a lot of spirit liquid on him. It had to be said that Su Yi was very generous at critical moments. He hadn't used up all the spirit liquid he had before. I'll take these 2 bottles of spirit liquid, but this alone won't be enough to get rid of me. If there's a chance in the future, help me find a spirit medicine called the 9-turn dragon scalegrass. I have a great use for it. Merciless West said. 9-turn dragon scalegrass. Su Yi was shocked. He knew about this spirit medicine. It was actually a spirit medicine that was close to the high level of the yellow grade. Its value was terrifying. If it was put up for auction, it would definitely be much more expensive than the Nebula Ganoderma. This 9-turn dragon scalegrass could be used to refine a type of 9-turn heavenly pill. It was an extremely high-level pill, but he didn't know if Big Brother wanted to use it to refine this pill. Don't worry, Big Brother. I'll help you find the 9-turn dragon scalegrass. Su Yi thought for a moment and said in a deep voice. No matter what Big Brother Merciless West wanted this precious spirit medicine for, he would try his best to find it. Overall, one thing was for sure. It was definitely not a bad thing. Merciless West nodded and said, Also, buy more materials to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman. I only have so much here, and it will be used up by today. But you have to be careful. This thing may not be sold much outside, so you can't buy much each time. Sui nodded. The soul manipulation killing talisman was something that was rarely used. It didn't consume much, and the demand for it was not high. Therefore, there were not many materials to refine it in the market. It would not be easy to buy it in large quantities. I have a way. I can ask the Lingbao Pavilion to help me with this. With their ability, they will definitely be able to get a lot. Sui said with a smile. Merciless West raised his eyelids and said, I forgot that you have the black card of the Lingbao Pavilion. Then this should not be difficult. Today, Merciless West was surprised when he thought about the black card of the Lingbao Pavilion. With his current strength, it would be difficult to get a black card from the Lingbao Pavilion. He didn't expect Sui to have it. He didn't know how he got it. I'll do it as soon as possible. I'll trouble Big Brother then. Sui nodded. The black card of the Lingbao Pavilion had brought him a lot of convenience. Every time he went to buy and sell spiritual medicines or elixirs, he would sell them at a high price and buy them at a low price. This was a treatment that countless people could not enjoy, not to mention that he could get a large sum of primordial stones on credit. Presumably, the Lingbao Pavilion would have a way to get the materials to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman in large quantities. Besides, the 9-turn dragon scale grass that Big Brother wanted might also be available there. Right, I haven't studied this thing for a long time. Suddenly, Sui, who was thinking, became spirited. He took out a strange wooden box from his space bag and placed it on the ground. This wooden box was the one he had obtained at the auction. However, Sui couldn't open it after studying it for a long time. It's related to the powerhouse of the demon-subduing sect in Yuzhou 8,000 years ago. It's very likely that it contains his lifetime inheritance. Sui mumbled to himself. Back then, it was precisely because of this wooden box that he ended up with such a huge debt. However, until now, he had not been able to open this wooden box, nor did he dare to open it by force. Otherwise, he would definitely damage the things inside. Let me try again. Merciless West picked up the wooden box and looked at it. There were many mottled marks on it. He released his soul power and penetrated the seal on the outside of the wooden box. He wanted to break it. However, after a while, all of Merciless West's power was bounced back. It's still not enough. This seal has been sealed for a long time, and the method is also very complicated. Unless it's someone with extremely powerful soul power, there's a chance to open it. With my current strength, it's still not enough. Merciless West said as he returned the wooden box to Sui. If that's the case, there's really some kind of treasure inside. Sui sighed. He had spent 1 billion one-star primordial stones to buy this thing. Judging from the seal, the things inside must be very precious. However, he didn't know when he would be able to open it. To be honest, Sui was a little anxious. What if the things inside had already decayed after 8,000 years? That would be a great loss for him. He would only feel at ease if he could open it with his own eyes. That little girl should still need some time to completely refine the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion pill. Let's go out first. When you buy the materials back, I'll refine the soul-controlling killing talisman. Merciless West looked at Sui and said to him. Sui nodded and didn't delay any longer. He walked out of the mysterious space with Merciless West. I just came back and I'm already going out again. Sui rubbed his nose. He had just gone to the Spirit Treasure Pavilion a few days ago to repay his debt. In order to buy the materials, he had to make another trip. However, there was nothing he could do. The soul-controlling killing talisman definitely needed to be refined. Sui patrolled the mine for a while. Now the entire mine was in full swing. Other than the 2,000 people of the Heavenly Spider sect, there were also many itinerant cultivators who had been recruited. This mine was no longer a big secret. Many people nearby knew about it. However, only the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect knew about the exact amount of resources. Sui saw Wang Zhenquan. This old fellow's face was flushed red every day. He smiled whenever he saw people. He was living an incomparably happy life. Sui knew that this was all because of the prenatal stones. With so many resources being handed over to Wang Zhenquan, with his greedy personality, he must be overjoyed. Everything in the mine was in order, so there was no need to worry too much. The only thing he needed to guard against now was the people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect coming again. After all, Sui had just tied up their 6 origin emperors and was using them as slaves. Where's Little Handsome? Sui was ready to set off. He made another trip to the city to buy materials from the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. However, after looking around, he didn't see Little Handsome Su. He didn't know where he had gone. Lord Little Handsome should be fine. Master, why don't I accompany you into the city? Green Emperor stood up and said to Sui. No need, Yenhu and I will go. Sui shook his head. With his current cultivation, as long as he didn't encounter a high-level Origin Emperor realm expert, he would definitely be able to protect himself. The strongest force in the nearby area was only a third-rate force. Moreover, the 7-star sword school, Gimdeo sect, and even the Heavenly Spider sect had been eradicated. The remaining Xianjian sect and Liuhe sect were all his own people. For Sui it was still very safe. I will rush back as soon as possible. Chapter 1160. With the flaming winged devil tiger's speed, a round trip would only take 2 days if it traveled at full speed. It was not too troublesome. After the flaming winged devil tiger obtained the benefits from the mysterious space, its cultivation base had improved by leaps and bounds. It had reached the 5th level of the Demon Void stage and was extremely powerful. Its speed was also extremely fast. Its aura could scare off many humans and savage demon beasts. On the flaming winged devil tiger's back, Sui began to cultivate while sitting cross-legged. He focused on tempering the primordial yang heavenly bone. When they arrived at Sword Star City, Sui had already tempered more than 1 piece. He did not delay and quickly went to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. The person who received him was still shopkeeper Zhao Si. Sui told him all of his requirement. Just as he expected, there were not many materials used to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman in the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. However, shopkeeper Zhao Si promised that he would mobilize the materials from other branches as soon as possible. Within a month, he would be able to get the amount that Sui needed. Moreover, shopkeeper Zhao also told Sui that as a black card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, they could provide a door-to-door service for Sui. They would deliver the goods to him immediately without any additional fees. Sui was more and more surprised by the treatment he received from the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. It seemed like he had underestimated the black card. He told shopkeeper Zhao the location of the Bawang Sect's mine and paid the origin stones before leaving Sword Star City. The materials used to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman were not expensive. Sui bought a large batch in one go. He could refine 100,000 of them. The primordial stones that he had obtained from Liuhe sect had also been used up by half because of this. However, this was nothing to the current Sui. To refine so many soul manipulation killing talismans? What is the Bawang sect trying to do? After Sui left, shopkeeper Zhao's calm face finally changed. With so many materials, no matter which soul controller it was, if they wanted to use them all up, they would have to work tirelessly for many years. Shopkeeper Zhao was completely baffled. He knew that Sui was a soul controller, but even if he wanted to use him for practice, he shouldn't have asked for so much. Sui didn't care about shopkeeper Zhao's doubt. He once again set foot on the road back, sitting cross-legged on the back of the flaming-winged devil tiger to cultivate the primordial yang heavenly bone. He didn't waste any time. The huge flaming-winged demonic tiger galloped through the void. Its speed was incomparably fast, but its back was stable. However, not long after it carried Su-Yi into the vast forest, it suddenly trembled and swayed a little. Roar! The flaming-winged devil tiger let out a low roar, warning Su-Yi on its back. Experts are coming. In fact, before the flaming-winged devil tiger, Su-Yi had already noticed that something was wrong. He immediately opened his eyes and saw Anna's figure in the distance. She didn't deliberately release her aura, but it revealed the powerful aura of the Origin Emperor realm. Even though it was far away, it made the flaming-winged devil tiger panic. Su-Yi had to circulate the Origin Supreme technique to calm the throbbing in his heart. Flaming tiger, let's go down. Don't complicate matters. Su-Yi instructed and let the flaming-winged devil tiger descend into the forest, leaving the sky to the Origin Emperor realm expert. This time, Su-Yi didn't accompany him. He didn't even have an expert like his big brother Merciless West. Su-Yi was also very cautious. He didn't want to face the Origin Emperor realm expert. The Origin Emperor realm woman just now was obviously just passing by. He didn't want to provoke her. This was the Chaos region. If he was killed by her, there would be no place for him to complain. A demonic illusory realm brute beast. And that brat seems to be extraordinary. She should know where that bastard is, right? When Su-Yi and the flaming-winged devil tiger descended into the forest, the Origin Emperor realm figure in the distance noticed them and sensed the flaming-winged devil tiger's situation. It was an extremely beautiful woman. She looked to be in her 30s. She was wearing a palace dress, which made her look elegant. On the other hand, the woman's face was filled with a dense chilliness. Cold light shot out from between her brows, and a murderous aura was faintly emitted from her body. The beautiful woman glanced at the back of Su-Yi and the flaming-winged devil tiger. Her gaze was also extremely cold. Demonic illusory realm brute beasts were rare. Now that she encountered one, she didn't plan to let it go. She dashed out and instantly entered the dense forest. What's going on? Sensing that the aura was still coming for the two of them, Su-Yi's brows were tightly knitted together. Can't you be more reasonable? I've already let you fly alone in the sky. I've already hidden and shown my weakness. Why are you still chasing after us? Flaming tiger, let's go. The faster the better. Su-Yi's eyes darkened. He ordered the flaming-winged devil tiger to speed up. Now, he still couldn't be sure that the Origin Emperor realm expert was really coming for him. However, Su-Yi had to show a cowardly attitude. What if the other party wasn't really thinking about him? In front of me, Impermanence Fairy, do you think you can run away? A chilling voice rang out behind Su-Yi's back and entered his ears. When the flaming-winged demonic tiger heard this sound, its body began to tremble violently once again. It let out a series of low roars, carrying boundless fear. An invisible, terrifying murderous aura came from behind, making it instinctively feel afraid. Su-Yi's situation was similar. Fortunately, his Origin Supreme technique was extraordinary. It stabilized his state of mind and calmed the flaming-winged devil tiger down. Expert. It's definitely a high-level Origin Emperor realm expert. Su-Yi's scalp went numb. He had seen many high-level Origin Emperor realm experts, but he had never faced one alone. He always had his brother, Merciless West, Green Emperor, and the others to support him. Now that he sensed the invisible terrifying aura spreading over, he felt a chill down his spine. The most terrifying thing was that such an expert was really coming for him. This made Su-Yi want to cry, but no tears came out. Who the hell did I offend? Split up and run! Su-Yi roared. His figure suddenly rose into the air and swept towards the sky. He had to separate from the flaming-winged devil tiger. Only one of them could fall into the hands of the expert behind him. the other could go back and call for reinforcements and let his brother, Merciless West, come to rescue him. Otherwise, if something happened to him and the flaming-winged devil tiger here, there would be no one to respond to him. Just as Su-Yi flew up, a terrifying gust of wind suddenly attacked and landed directly on his back. It was as if a mountain had smashed into him. Pfff, Su-Yi suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale in an instant. His body swayed and he almost fell into the void. However, he tried his best to hold on and still flew towards the distance to buy time for the flaming-winged devil tiger, who was escaping in another direction. It's actually an Origin Void Realm kid. His talent is very strong. Behind him, the beautiful woman saw that Su-Yi was not seriously injured by her casual attack. She was quite surprised and couldn't help but be surprised. Her cold eyes narrowed slightly. Then, she stepped out lightly and stepped on the void. With one step, she covered a distance of several hundred feet. In just a few breaths' time, her figure directly blocked in front of Su-Yi. Su-Yi's escape movement instantly stopped. He stopped in midair and looked coldly at the Origin Emperor Realm woman who suddenly appeared. He said, "Senior, I have never provoked you. Why are you attacking me?" He felt a chill in his heart. With Su-Yi's vengeful character, he would secretly remember this debt in his heart. "Do I need a reason to attack you?" The woman snorted coldly. Then, she gently raised her arm. Suddenly, a ray of light swept out. Su-Yi could not resist in the slightest. She directly pulled him to her side and clasped a hand on Su-Yi's arm. That seemingly delicate and white hand carried boundless strength. It pinched Su-Yi's arm until it hurt. A huge sense of crisis arose in Su-Yi's heart. This woman's strength was too strong. He was like an ant in front of her. He had no strength to resist. The power transmitted from the hand directly sealed the yuan qi in his body, making it impossible for him to circulate it. The woman brought Su-Yi to the mountain forest and threw him to the ground. Without any delay, she asked, "Kid, if you can tell me where the Bawang sect is, and if the situation is true, I can consider letting you live." She stared coldly at Su-Yi without blinking. When such a question came out, Su-Yi's heart was suddenly shocked. Could it be that this person was actually targeting the Bawang sect? Which force was this expert from? When did the Bawang sect offend her? Su-Yi's mind raced. In an instant, countless thoughts flashed through his mind. He had no idea about these questions. So Senior is looking for the Bawang sect. This sect's reputation has spread far and wide recently. There are no rogue cultivators in the nearby forces who don't know about it. If Senior wants to go, I can lead the way. Su-Yi said these words almost without thinking. Then, he changed the topic and asked intentionally or unintentionally, "But the Bawang sect is very strong. I wonder why Senior is looking for them?" "Very strong?" The beautiful woman suddenly sneered. She looked at Su-Yi with disdain and said, "Are you talking about Merciless West? I'm here to find that old bastard. This time, I want to see where he can escape to." At the end of her words, the beautiful woman's body emitted a terrifying murderous aura. A boundless evil aura was released, causing Su-Yi's body to tremble. It was only now that he knew that this expert was the enemy of his big brother, Merciless West. He didn't know what kind of grudge there was between them that caused this woman's murderous aura to be so strong. However, Su-Yi began to feel relieved. As long as he could lure this person to his big brother, everything shouldn't be difficult to resolve. There was hope that he could keep his life. However, he didn't know the exact cultivation of this woman, but he guessed that she couldn't be compared to his big brother, Merciless West. After all, his big brother was an existence that could fight with a half-step Yuan ancestor realm expert. Chapter 1161. In this short period of time, the flaming-winged demonic tiger had already escaped. Of course, he knew what to do. He had to rush back to get reinforcements. However, the woman didn't seem to care at all. After capturing Sui, she didn't chase after the flaming-winged demonic tiger. "Senior, is there some enmity between you and Merciless West?" Sui looked at the woman's murderous face and her eyes filled with resentment. He couldn't help but be curious. He didn't know how much enmity there was between his brother, Merciless West, and this person. That old bastard has been hiding for 20 years. Finally, he showed himself. "I traveled thousands of miles to the central province, but I didn't expect him to come to the Chaos region. This time, he will either die in my hands or—" The woman's eyes were filled with hatred. She gritted her teeth and her beautiful face was filled with endless resentment. However, she suddenly paused and glared fiercely at Sui. At the same time, a fierce aura surged out and filled the air with killing intent. "You little bastard, if you dare to trick me again, I'll kill you." The woman narrowed her eyes and said to Sui with a cold gleam in her eyes. Sui's heart trembled and he shut his mouth tightly. He didn't dare to say anything else. However, he also realized that the enmity between this woman and his brother was much deeper than he had imagined. Otherwise, she wouldn't have reacted only when the woman was about to finish her sentence. He had first heard that his brother, Merciless West, was famous back in the barbarian demon forest. However, he suddenly disappeared 20 years ago and no one knew where he went. Some people guessed that he might have gone to hide from the Sky Dragon sect. Some people thought that he had gone to cultivate so that he could take revenge on the Sky Dragon sect. 20 years had passed and Merciless West had suddenly entered the world's attention again. First, he had become sworn brothers with several youths at the Sacred Martial Assembly in the Central Province. A few months later, he had fought against a half-step Origin Ancestor realm expert outside the Chaos region. His fame had soared and shocked the world once again. They traveled thousands of miles and even went to the Central Plains. Now they've come to the Chaos region. How much hatred do they have for each other? Sui muttered in his heart. He only felt that this old debt was going to cause a big commotion. He didn't dare to say anything. If he revealed his identity and this woman found out that he was Merciless West's sworn brother, wouldn't she kill him first? At the thought of this, Sui reckoned that this woman was extremely powerful. Otherwise, she would not have dared to come looking for him when she knew that his brother, the Merciless West, could fight a half-step Yuan ancestor. "Senior, I'll bring you to the Bawang sect. When the time comes, you must let me live." Sui pretended to be scared and said to the woman with a bitter face, "Lead the way. If you dare to play any tricks, I don't mind sending you straight to hell. Dying at the hands of Impermanence Fairy can be considered a blessing that you have accumulated from your previous life," the woman said in a deep voice. Sui kept quiet out of fear, not daring to say another word. What a joke! Dying at the hands of this woman was considered a blessing that he had accumulated from his previous life. Whoever wanted this blessing could have it. In any case, Sui still wanted to be a 1,000-year-old tortoise. The longer he lived, the better. Sui pointed in a general direction. Then, his body was lifted up by the woman and they moved quickly. He didn't say anything, but he kept muttering in his heart. The title of Impermanence Fairy sounded like a fairy, but if one thought about it carefully, they would feel a chill. However, Sui vaguely felt that something was strange. His brother, the Merciless West, was called Impermanence Fairy, and this woman was called Impermanence Fairy. How could there be a grudge between impermanence and impermanence? Whoosh whoosh! Impermanence Fairy's speed was very fast, much faster than the flaming-winged devilish tiger. She was indeed a high-level Origin Emperor expert. Sui reckoned that the woman's cultivation base was even stronger than his brother, the Merciless West. The two of them spent less than 4 hours and covered a quarter of the distance. At this rate, they would be able to reach the Bawang sect's mine in another 12 to 12 hours. Sui wasn't afraid at all. As long as his life wasn't in danger, it would be easy. Once they reached the mine, his brother, the merciless West, the Green Emperor, Yang Ming and Yin Ming would be able to put up a fight against a first-level origin ancestor, let alone this woman. Whoosh whoosh, two figures swept across the sky at an extremely fast speed. Just as they passed by a call, some figures below raised their heads and saw the two of them. If Sui was paying attention, he would definitely recognize these figures. They were the people from the Xianjian sect. The leader wasn't Ji Tianfu but an old man. However, Ji Hanhua and Yu Wenshuan were also among them. Isn't that Sui? Yu Wenshuan's eyes were sharp. He immediately recognized Sui. It's him, Ji Hanhua said. She couldn't have mistaken Sui for someone else. But who is that woman beside him? She doesn't seem to be from the Bawang sect, right? The old man from the Xianjian sect was very puzzled. He was also an origin emperor. After the Bawang sect annihilated the Gimdeo sect, he had seen Sui and the other experts from the Bawang sect. There wasn't such a woman among them. Indeed, I've never heard of this person. Ji Hanhua frowned and said softly, "If I'm not wrong, Sui is being held hostage." As an origin emperor expert, his eyesight was extremely sharp. He could see many details that others couldn't see clearly. Held hostage, Ji Hanhua became anxious when she heard that. Her beautiful face was filled with anxiety. "You guys wait here. I'll go check out the situation," the old man instructed Yu Wenshuan and the others. He was about to soar into the sky when Ji Hanhua grabbed his sleeve. "Elder Nyen, I want to go check it out too. Bring me along," Ji Hanhua said hurriedly. Her tone was filled with urgency. The old man who was addressed as Elder Nyen seemed to have understood something. He looked at Ji Hanhua's pleading eyes. After pondering for a moment, he didn't dare to delay and nodded. "All right." Subsequently, Ji Hanhua soared into the sky under Elder Nyen's guidance and chased after Sui and the woman. Elder Nyen's cultivation was at the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. He chased with all his might and soon closed the distance between them. Wuchang Fairy's speed was extremely fast. However, she didn't rush with all her might. After a while, she sensed the movement behind her. Seeing that someone was chasing after them, she couldn't help but frown. Her killing intent bloomed and her speed naturally slowed down. "Sui! Sui!" Such a shout came from behind and entered Sui's ears. He turned around and saw Ji Hanhua and an expert from the Xianjian sect chasing after them. Swish! Elder Nyen brought Ji Hanhua and blocked Sui and Ji Hanhua's path. Wuchang Fairy's beautiful eyes turned cold when she saw this scene. "I remember that the sect master of the Bawang sect is called Sui. He's a young man. So it's you." Wuchang Fairy turned to look at Sui and said in a deep voice, "What a coincidence. You're that old bastard's sworn brother." The cold light in her eyes pierced Sui's eyes. Under the situation where he couldn't circulate the Origin Supreme technique, Wuchang Fairy's power was unbearable for him. Senior, Sui's heart was filled with endless bitterness. Not long ago, he was thinking that he must hide his identity properly. Otherwise, this woman might kill him first. He didn't expect to meet Ji Hanhua and the people from the Xianjian sect in such a short time. Sui really wanted to cry but had no tears. What he was afraid of really happened. This time, he was probably in trouble. However, one thing was obvious. The Xianjian sect's elder and Ji Hanhua must have rushed over to save him. Sure enough, after stopping the two of them, the elder Nyen asked in a deep voice, "Who are you? Let this young man go." The elder Nyen's expression turned serious. He could faintly feel that the woman opposite him was very powerful, and he might not be her match. However, with the relationship between the Xianjian sect and the Bawang sect, he couldn't ignore it. This matter had to be dealt with. A puny 5th-level Origin Emperor dares to order me around? Wuchang Fairy's beautiful face was filled with murderous intent as she rushed towards the elder Nian and Ji Hanu. Who are you? Let go of Su Yi quickly. Otherwise, the Bawang sect and the Xianjian sect won't let you go. Ji Hanua's pretty face turned serious as she shouted at Wuchang Fairy. She didn't lose out to the Xianjian sect's young mistress. However, the anxiety in the depths of her eyes could not be concealed, and Impermanence Fairy saw it all. Impermanence Fairy chuckled and looked at Ji Hanu. She began to say in a serious tone, "Little girl, I think you like this kid. Listen to my advice. There's no good man in this world. All of them should be cut into pieces. You'd better get over it before you're doomed." Su Yi and the elder Nian's faces turned pale when they heard this. Who the hell hurt you so deeply that you're scolding all the men in the world? Are you crazy? However, they wouldn't dare to say such words out loud. You don't have to worry about this matter. Let him go quickly. Otherwise, even if we can't stop you today, the Xianjian sect will hunt you down in the future. Ji Hanua's body suddenly emitted a fierce aura. Even though her cultivation was far inferior to Wuchang Fairy, she was still fearless. Su Yi was touched. This wasn't the first time Ji Hanua had helped him. Seeing that he was captured by the woman, she actually dared to challenge her. However, her aura couldn't suppress Wuchang Fairy at all. The woman said, "Xianjian sect? I've never heard of it. I, Wuchang Fairy, am not even afraid of the Sky Dragon sect. Why would I be scared by a small force in the Chaos region?" His face was covered in frost as he replied coldly to Ji Hanua. Wuchang Fairy. Chapter 1162. The elder's eyes were wide open as he looked at the beautiful woman in front of him in horror. His body trembled slightly as he said, "You are Impermanence Fairy. You are Impermanence Fairy." Su Yi could not help but be surprised when he saw this. It seemed that Impermanence Fairy was also a very famous person, but he had never heard of her before. However, Su Yi grasped another important point, and that was the Sky Dragon sect. Does Impermanence Fairy also have a grudge against the Sky Dragon sect? Su Yi muttered in his heart. Since this beautiful woman and his brother, Merciless West, had a grudge against the Sky Dragon sect, they might as well join forces to deal with the Sky Dragon sect. After exchanging glances for a long time, the two of them might even have some friction. Why did they have to fight to the death? Wait. Su Yi's body suddenly trembled as he thought of this, as if he had touched a keynote. Is it really just a matter of life and death between my brother and Impermanence Fairy? He couldn't help but wonder if there was some sort of melodramatic drama between the two of them, such as abandoning each other after seducing and killing each other. If that was really the case, then things would be interesting. For a moment, Su Yi's heart was burning with the fire of gossip. He wanted to find out in detail, but when he thought of Impermanence Fairy's fierce appearance, it was as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. Miss Hanua, you and the elder should leave first. I will take this senior to the Bawang sect. Nothing will happen. Seeing that Impermanence Fairy's aura was getting stronger and stronger, Su Yi did not dare to think too much, and quickly said to Ji Hanua. This girl had a fierce look. If she angered Impermanence Fairy, Su Yi was really afraid that something big would happen. But Ji Hanua frowned and said anxiously. Just as she was about to say something, Impermanence Fairy spoke first. Little girl, you should give up while it's still early. This kid has been with that old bastard Merciless West for too long. He is definitely not a good person. Ji Hanua's eyes widened again, and was about to continue speaking, but she was quickly pulled back by the elder beside her. Young miss, don't be agitated. The elder held Ji Hanua's hand, but his eyes were fixed on Impermanence Fairy. He said meekly, I didn't know it was Impermanence Fairy who came to the Chaos region. I apologize for offending you. I'll take my leave first. After that, he gave Su Yi a look that said, Good luck. Elder Nian, elder. Jihan Nua panicked again. However, Elder Nyen did not give her a chance this time. He immediately flew back the way he came. Not only that, the elder also released his aura and temporarily sealed Jihan Nua, making her unable to speak. The two of them came quickly and left even faster. Impermanence Fairy did not stop them. Su-yi was even more curious now. He didn't know who this Impermanence Fairy was, to be able to force the elder to back down. However, when he saw Jihan Nua being taken away by the elder, he let out a long sigh of relief. Elder Nyen, I want to save Su-yi. After flying far away, the elder let go of Jihan Nua, but the young girl immediately broke free from his arm and said anxiously, young miss, don't be anxious. Su-yi should be fine. The elder hurriedly said, that woman looks very fierce and is so strong. How can Su-yi be fine? Jihan Nua was really worried. She had finally met Su-yi on the road. If she didn't save him, she really didn't know what would happen. Young miss, didn't you hear? Su-yi is bringing Impermanence Fairy to the Bawang sect. Su-yi will definitely be fine at the Bawang sect. That suicidal Yama, Merciless West, is extremely strong. I'm only at the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. I'm not a match for Impermanence Fairy. If we force him, I'm afraid it will backfire. The elder advised again. Jihan Nua slowly calmed down. What the elder said was true. Su-yi's life wasn't in danger at the moment. If they reached the Bawang sect, Merciless West would definitely have a higher chance of saving Su-yi. It was much more useful than them forcefully challenging the elder. However, she still couldn't understand and couldn't help but ask again, is that woman so stupid? Would she send herself to the Bawang sect's experts to save her? Young miss, you don't know. Impermanence Fairy and Merciless West seem to be old friends. 20 years ago, suicidal Yama, Merciless West, suddenly went into seclusion. No one knew where he went. In the years after that, Impermanence Fairy stirred up huge waves in various continents. She was bent on finding Merciless West. Because of her unknown relationship with Merciless West, the Sky Dragon sect, which had a grudge against Merciless West, also found her. However, the Sky Dragon sect suffered losses in the hands of Impermanence Fairy. In the end, they didn't dare to interfere. The elder said, that woman is so powerful? Jihan Nua was surprised. Everyone knew that the Sky Dragon sect was the #1 faction in the Sky Dragon continent. It was one of the 3 sects and 4 factions of the One Mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects and 4 factions. It was even stronger than the Chaos region's Blue Cloud Hall, 9 Stars Valley and Blood Sun sect combined. To be able to make the Sky Dragon sect suffer losses, it was enough to show how terrifying Impermanence Fairy was. Impermanence Fairy is naturally extremely powerful. She's most famous for her temperament. Everything she does is based on her mood. Just like the situation just now, if she's not happy, she might just kill all of us. The elder thought for a moment and continued, I don't know the details, but one thing is for sure. Her relationship with Merciless West is definitely not simple. According to the rumors in the past, she most likely came to the Chaos region for Merciless West. As long as she sees Merciless West, Su-yi will definitely be fine. Jihan Nua didn't say anything. If that was really the case, then she didn't have to worry too much. No, I have to go to the Bawang sect. However, after thinking for a moment, Jihan Nua still couldn't feel at ease and said. After saying that, she wanted to turn around and leave, but the elder reacted in time and pulled her back again. Elder Nyen, quickly go back and find senior brother Yu and help me inform father. Jihan Nua said. Eldest miss. Seeing that the young man in front of him was so stubborn, the elder opened his mouth but didn't know how to persuade him. In the end, he could only helplessly nod and say, since eldest miss is so determined, I'll go with you. So you're the legendary Su-yi. Your talent is not bad, But it's a pity that you're with that old bastard. Then I'll beat you up first. After Ji Han Nua and the elder left, Impermanence Fairy suddenly stared coldly at Su-yi. Without saying anything, she swung her hand and a surge of qi hit Su-yi's chest, sending him flying. Su-yi let out a muffled groan. He only felt that the blood in his body was surging and his body was about to explode. It was extremely painful. What the F***ck, Su-yi cursed in his heart. This Impermanence Fairy attacked just like that. It was obvious that she wanted to vent her anger on him before seeing his big brother, Merciless West. What kind of sin did he commit? He was directly sent flying and tumbled in the void for a long distance before he began to fall. Impermanence Fairy's figure shot out and rushed over again. Seeing this, Su-yi hurriedly shouted, "Senior, please wait. I have a secret about Merciless West to tell you." If he didn't think of a way, Su-yi felt that he would lose his human form when he returned to the Bawang sect. As the sect leader, where should he put his face? Oh? What secret? Impermanence Fairy's interest was piqued. She quickly flew to Su-yi's side and lifted him up again as she asked curiously. Su-yi panicked as he was lifted up by her. After struggling for a while, he gritted his teeth and said, "I don't know what kind of grudge you have with my big brother, Merciless West, but I guess the two of you should. Su-yi stopped and looked hesitant. Should what? Impermanence Fairy asked with her eyes wide open. That, Senior, when I was walking with my big brother, Merciless West, in the barbaric demon forest, I heard him talking in his sleep a few times. He kept mumbling a name called Xiao Chui. Later, when I asked him, not only did he not tell me, he even threatened to beat me up. But who wouldn't have guessed this? Xiao Chui is definitely my big brother's sweetheart. Now that I've met Senior, I think you're probably that Xiao Chui, right?" As he spoke, Su-yi looked at Impermanence Fairy with a serious face. He paid close attention to her expression, hoping to see something. Xiao Chui, after hearing Su-yi's words, Impermanence Fairy's killing intent suddenly exploded. She grabbed Su-yi in front of her and asked, "Speak, who is Xiao Chui?" Su-yi's heart trembled as he sensed the baleful aura. His blood was about to congeal. Junior doesn't know who Xiao Chui is. Big brother has been hiding it from me and didn't tell me. Su-yi panicked. This panicked expression was fake. Su-yi finally confirmed one thing. Impermanence Fairy and his big brother, Merciless West, definitely didn't just have a grudge. There must be something interesting going on. Su-yi was very curious, but he couldn't ask directly at this time. What he needed to worry about the most now was Impermanence Fairy's impermanence, so he could only drag his big brother, Merciless West, into the trap. Whatever, he had to think of a way to protect himself first, so he wouldn't have to suffer physical pain. Seeing the frost on Impermanence Fairy's face getting colder and colder, Su-yi pretended to be shocked and asked, "Senior, aren't you that Xiao Chui? Did I get the wrong person? How could Big Brother be such a person? This is simply intolerable. This kind of behavior must be strongly condemned. Just because he's Merciless West, he can't be taken for granted." Su-yi's face was filled with grief and indignation. Everything he said was nonsense without any logic. But when Impermanence Fairy heard it, she became angrier and angrier. She was on the verge of exploding. "Lead the way." Chapter 1163. Su-yi finally heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Impermanence Fairy did not take her anger out on him, everything would be fine. After the commotion just now, he felt that things might not be as bad as he had imagined. There was definitely something going on between Big Brother Merciless West and Impermanence Fairy. Since that was the case, it would be easy to deal with. All he had to do was to direct all her anger onto Big Brother, and he would be able to retreat smoothly. Su-yi only felt that this method of diverting the trouble was simply too wonderful. The trouble was caused by Big Brother, so Su-yi did not feel the slightest bit of psychological pressure to let him take the blame. Impermanence Fairy and Su-yi traveled together at an extremely fast speed, much faster than the flaming winged devil tiger of the demon illusionary realm. On the same day, under Su-yi's guidance, they arrived at the location of the Bawang Sek's mine. "Big brother, come out quickly!" From afar, Su-yi began to shout loudly, his voice shaking the entire mine. Impermanence Fairy stood in the void with an angry look on her face, waiting quietly. "What the hell are you howling for?" After a while, Merciless West's response came, and in the next moment, his figure appeared in their line of sight, landing not far from Su-yi in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Merciless West's entire body twitched as if he had been electrocuted, his eyes staring straight at the beautiful woman beside him. You, Merciless West opened his mouth to say something, but only managed to say "you" for a long time. "Old bastard, don't you recognize me?" Impermanence Fairy raised her eyebrows, her killing intent bursting forth. You are Little Han? What are you doing here?" Merciless West opened his eyes wide, and said with a look of disbelief, and began to brew with excitement. "To think that an old bastard like you still remembers me. You left without saying goodbye 20 years ago, and I've been looking for you so hard. Today, I'm going to tear you apart." A violent aura burst out from Impermanence Fairy's eyes, and her figure rushed directly toward Merciless West, her hand striking out with a cold ice bolt. "Let's talk nicely, don't fight." Merciless West, who had just become excited, was doused with cold water by Impermanence Fairy's actions, and could not help but shout. A fire attribute energy quickly formed in front of him, and it turned into a flame beast, clashing with Impermanence Fairy's ice bolt. Boom! When the two completely opposite energies collided, a terrifying rumbling sound immediately erupted. The energy storm swept out, turning into a hurricane that swirled and flew in the mountain range, tearing many trees to pieces. "Master, I'll go help." Green Emperor, Yang Ming, Yin Ming, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor also came out of the mine at this time. Su-yi was supported by them, and the seal on his body was also removed. Seeing Merciless West fighting with someone, Green Emperor wanted to go up and help, and suppress the woman in the palace dress. "No need, let Big Brother deal with this himself. Let's just watch the show." Su-yi stopped Green Emperor and said so. His heart was filled with grievances, and he felt that he had suffered an undeserved calamity. After all, he had suffered in the hands of Impermanence Fairy. It seemed that he would not be able to get revenge from Impermanence Fairy for the time being. Then, he would put it on Merciless West, and let him suffer a little in the hands of Impermanence Fairy. Only then would Su-yi feel better. Moreover, this was Merciless West's own matter, and he was implicated. The Beast Emperors did not make a move. They stood together with Su-yi in the air, watching the fierce battle between Impermanence Fairy and Merciless West. They were all shocked to find that Impermanence Fairy's strength was very terrifying. Her pure cultivation had already reached the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, which was 2 levels higher than Merciless West. However, in terms of combat strength, Merciless West was still much stronger. This was the perverse part of a soul controller. "What's going on? Lord Merciless West seems to be going easy on that woman." Green Emperor, Yang Ming, and the others quickly found that Merciless West was not using his full strength. Instead, he was being suppressed by the woman. He only defended and did not fight back. In the end, he looked more like a rat running away. "Little Han, let's talk nicely," Merciless West shouted. "I don't have anything to say to you." Impermanence Fairy continued to attack Shi Wuqing as if her life depended on it. Impermanence Fairy continued to attack Shi Wuqing. Su-yi could clearly see that the woman was clenching her teeth tightly. She was full of resentment, as if she wanted to eat Merciless West alive. "Little Han, stop fooling around. There are so many juniors watching," Merciless West said anxiously. Don't talk nonsense with me. Die, old bastard. Impermanence Fairy's eyes were cold, and she did not respond to Merciless West's words. Merciless West only felt a deep sense of helplessness. He had a lot to say, but when he saw Sue-Yi, Green Emperor, and the others watching from the sidelines, he could not say anything. Especially Sue-Yi, that brat, he couldn't help but laugh, as if he was secretly laughing. This made Merciless West's face turn gloomy. After the two fought fiercely for a while, Merciless West gritted his teeth and flew into the distance without looking back. Old bastard, stop right there. Impermanence Fairy chased after him without any intention of stopping. In just a few breaths, the two figures flew into the distance and disappeared. No one knew where they went. They ran away. There's no good show to watch now. Sue-Yi's face was filled with regret as he sighed. Master, where did that woman come from? She seems very strong. Should we chase after her and take a look? What if Master Merciless West needs help? Green Emperor looked into the distance and asked. That woman was very strong, but the Beast Emperors were not afraid of her. There's no need to chase after her. Let's go back first. Sue-Yi did not dare to chase after her. If Impermanence Fairy turned around and attacked him again, he would not be able to take it. Anyway, he had already tricked his big brother, so he should just let him solve the problem. Sue-Yi knew that he would be fine because Merciless West's strength was there for all to see. Moreover, the two of them had some inexplicable relationship. In the end, he still did not know what would happen. He did not delay and directly returned to the mine. It was only in the evening that the flaming winged demonic tiger finally rushed back. However, when it saw that Sue-Yi was safe and sound, it was relieved. I'll go check on Fengqi. Sue-Yi instructed the Green Emperor and the others, then entered the mysterious space by himself. The moment he entered, a wave of poisonous gas that could topple mountains and overturn seas swept through the air, enveloping Sue-Yi's entire body in an instant. When the gas came into contact with his body, Sue-Yi felt as if his soul had been struck by lightning. He was instantly paralyzed, and for a moment, he lost the ability to think. What a powerful poisoned soul! Sue-Yi sucked in a mouthful of cold air. He was incomparably shocked. Fortunately, his soul power was originally very strong, and Fengqi's current cultivation was not very high. Thus, she was able to expel the poison from her soul in an instant. If it was any other Voidless Realm expert, under the influence of poisoned soul, if the Voidless Realm expert was caught off guard, the Voidless Realm expert might have died on the spot. Walala, Fengqi's delicate body slowly rose into the air, and a strong aura fluctuated around her. That beautiful face, coupled with the boundless poisonous gas and black light, made her look like a demon that controlled the world's poison. It was incomparably demonic. Chi-Chi under Sue-Yi's astonished gaze, he saw the strands of black mist and a large amount of black light beginning to converge into her body. Like 100 rivers returning to the sea, they finally hid inside her body. This process was very fast, and it only lasted for the time it took to brew a cup of tea before it ended. Just when everything was done, a black bead slowly rose from her Baihui acupoint on top of Fengqi's head. It stopped 3 feet above her head and slowly rotated. On this black pearl, a strange light was emitted, causing Sue-Yi to feel a trace of pain in his eyes when he took a glance at it. Although under Sue-Yi's observation, he was even more shocked to discover that there were actually remnant souls coming from outside the mysterious space. These remnant souls let out miserable howls and struggled with all their might to escape. However, that black pearl seemed to have a huge suction force that directly pulled them into the pearl. Following that, all of the howls disappeared. Huff! When all of these remnant souls disappeared, Fengqi's face became a little rosy, and she lightly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Immediately after, that pearl once again drilled into her Baihui acupoint bit by bit and disappeared. Sue-Yi. Feng Qi'er opened her eyes and called out happily. The first thing she saw was a stunned Su-yi. You've broken through. Third level Yuan Zhen stage. Su-yi was astonished. Feng Qi'er was already at third level Yuan Zhen stage, and she had only cultivated for a short period of time. If this news were to spread, who knew how many people would be shocked? Yes, but I'm still far from you. Feng Qi'er stuck out her tongue. It was obvious that she was in a good mood. Su-yi was shocked. He only felt that this girl's cultivation speed was too fast. However, he was also clear that Feng Qi'er had the Calamity Qi soul in her body. It was activated by the cultivation method of his brother, Merciless West, which allowed her to cultivate with twice the result with half the effort. In addition, the Heaven Fiend's soul fusion elixir from before had given her unimaginable benefit. Therefore, it was not surprising that she had broken through to third level Yuan Zhen stage. Feng Qi'er, what was that pearl you had just now? It seems to be able to devour remnant souls? Sui was curious and could not help but ask. From that pearl just now, Sui sensed a very strange aura that made him fearful. That pearl just now was a treasure obtained after refining the Heaven Fiend's soul fusion elixir. Its main body is the Heaven Fiend poisonous spider's monster core. It can devour remnant souls and transform the remnant soul's power for its own use. Chapter 1164. Soul Cultivating Pearl. Su-yi began to ponder. Previously, his brother, Merciless West, said that if Feng Qi'er was lucky, she could transform the Heaven Fiend's soul fusion pill into a treasure. Now that he thought about it, it was probably the Soul Cultivating Pearl. You're saying that the Soul Cultivating Pearl can devour remnant souls. Does that mean it's constantly accumulating the remnant soul's power and then unleashing it in future battles to fight against enemies? Sui asked. That's right. Feng Qi'er smiled gently and said, I can continuously refine the Soul Cultivating Pearl. The more remnant souls it devours, the more powerful it will become. I feel that if I refine the Soul Cultivating Pearl to the limit of my current cultivation, I should be able to fight against a powerhouse of level 7 or level 8 Yuan Zhen realm. Sui was shocked once again. The Soul Cultivating Pearl was so terrifying that it could greatly increase Feng Qi'er's strength. It was definitely a terrifying weapon. Fighting across 4 or 5 levels was not something an ordinary person could do. Normally, only a few of the most outstanding disciples cultivated by the various major forces had such ability. In addition, Su-yi could also imagine that as Feng Qi'er's cultivation became more profound, the Soul Cultivating Pearl's potential would also be unlocked. Our Bawang sect's third soul controller. After the shock, Su-yi became happy. Feng Qi'er's strength was already quite good. The Bawang sect's third soul controller would also grow rapidly. He was looking forward to it. Once Feng Qi'er became a true powerhouse, she would definitely be a great help. Moreover, Su-yi knew that Feng Qi'er, a soul controller, was not the same as ordinary soul controllers. For example, he and his brother, Merciless West, would normally constantly increase their soul power and vitality cultivation. From there, they would have more power to mobilize remnant souls to fight against their enemies. However, Feng Qi'er was special. She could mobilize remnant souls to fight, but at the same time, her strongest weapon was the Soul Cultivating Pearl. A treasure that had been refined for a long time was much more powerful than a remnant soul that could be mobilized temporarily. In addition, Feng Qi'er's Calamity Qi and Poison Soul's characteristics meant that her soul power could be used to launch more terrifying attacks that would make it difficult for the enemy's soul to withstand. Where did Master go? Why didn't I see him? Feng Qi'er suddenly looked at Su-yi in confusion and asked. Of course, Su-yi knew that she was referring to his brother, Merciless West. Ha! Su-yi smiled and said, I wonder if Big Brother is having a good time now. The corner of his mouth curled up. He really wanted to know what was the situation between his big brother Shi Wuqing and Impermanence Fairy. He was not worried at all. He only felt that this matter would not develop in a bad direction. Let's go out. Big brother should be back soon, Sui said. Then, he took Feng Qi'er and left the mysterious space. Merciless West had not returned yet, and Sui had no intention of looking for him. With his brother's cultivation, there was no one in this area who could pose a threat to him. At Sui's request, Feng Qi'er demonstrated her current ability. A ray of black light rushed out from between her eyebrows and landed directly on a small vine in a pile of bushes. The vine instantly withered and turned into powder under the poison. Such precise control. Compared to before, it's an earth-shattering change. Sui was full of praise. When he first met Feng Qi'er, she could not control the calamity qi and poison soul at all. Every time it flared up, outsiders would have to stay far away from her, and the surrounding flowers and trees would be affected. Moreover, when the poison flared up, Feng Qi'er would faint as she could not withstand the poison's power. But now she could control this power so exquisitely and use it for herself. It was a complete metamorphosis. Sui was happy for her. This pure and kind girl was finally not as sentimental as before. Sui cultivated in the back mountain for a while. He had never stopped cultivating the art of driving heaven, the art of origin, and the heavenly Fey ancient scripture. I still don't have enough soul controller technique. If I have time, I should make a trip to the Palace of Driving Heaven. There should be quite a lot of good stuff there. Sui thought to himself. He felt that he should make time to visit the Palace of Driving Heaven's headquarters. Back then, Palace Lord Gyue strongly urged him to do a thorough examination, but he never had a good opportunity. Although Merciless West's cultivation was powerful, he was an itinerant cultivator after all. He had too few resources at his disposal, far inferior to the Palace of Driving Heaven. Sui felt that he could bring Feng Qi'er along to see what kind of soul quality she had with the Calamity Qi and Poison Soul. I wonder how Grandpa and the others are doing. Thinking of the Palace of Driving Heaven, Sui could not help but think of his grandfather and the rest of the Su family. The life-and-death battle at the Sacred Martial Assembly had caused him to completely fall out with the Sacred Mountain. As a precaution, Sui asked Palace Lord Gyue and the others to move the Su family away to avoid being attacked by the Sacred Mountain. It would be almost a year soon. Sui did not receive any news from the Su family, so he did not know how they were doing now. He was most concerned about his grandfather Su Yuntian. Fortunately, the old man's injuries had healed, so there was no need to worry about him. Speaking of which, this was all thanks to Elder Su of Suruga. In addition, the Shunjian Gate's friendship was extremely deep. Thinking of these things, Su Yi's heart was filled with boundless longing. All the old friends he met along the way made him miss them very much. There's also Wan and Fatty Wang. I hope they're fine. Second bro, third bro, where are you now? There's also Su Tianke. Many figures flashed through Su Yi's mind. Su Tianke, Su Chen, Yen Lin, Su Wan and Wang Shanwu were the people Su Yi was most worried about. Until now, there was no news of them at all. He did not even know if they were alive or dead. Sui wanted to look for them, but the world was so big that he did not know where to start. Boss, what's wrong? Are you worried about second bro and third bro? Handsome Su had returned to the mine at some point. He landed on Su Yi's shoulder and said, "Don't worry, second bro and third bro are blessed by the heavens. They'll be fine. I hope all of them are fine. One day, us brothers will reunite and fight side by side again." Hearing Handsome Su's words, Su Yi's eyes flashed and he clenched his fists tightly. We definitely will. With us brothers here, the Bawang sect will definitely rise. Anyone who stands in our way, even if they're gods or demons, will be killed. Handsome Sue's eyes rippled with five-colored brilliance as he released an awe-inspiring pressure, causing the void to tremble. Sue nodded heavily. What he could do now was to make the Bawang sect's name even more famous in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean. Su Chen, Su Tianke, Su Wan'er, and the others would know about it. Following such clues, those people would have a great chance of finding this place. At that time, all of them brothers would conquer the world together and sweep away all obstacles. Swoosh, just as Sue and Handsome Sue were talking, an old figure suddenly flew over from afar and landed in front of them. It was Merciless West. "Big bro, you're back." Sue couldn't help but smile when he saw his big brother come back safe and sound. "How was it? Did you have a good chat with Impermanence Fairy?" His heart was filled with gossip. He wanted to get to the bottom of it and find out the specific story between his big brother and Impermanence Fairy. However, Merciless West's face was very long at this time. He stared at Sue without moving, his eyes full of anger. Sue's hair stood on end when he was stared at like this, and a chill ran down his spine. "Big bro, why are you staring at me like this?" Sue couldn't stand it anymore and hurriedly asked. He wanted to ask where Impermanence Fairy had gone. Why was his big brother looking at him like this? "Little bastard, let me ask you. Who is Xiao Chui?" Merciless West's eyes were as deep as water, and his voice was cold. Sue choked. How did he become a little bastard again? He helplessly spread out his hands and rolled his eyes. "I don't know who Xiao Chui is. You ask me, but who am I supposed to ask?" Sue's heart didn't waver. He really didn't know who Xiao Chui was, because this person was made up by him. It was an existence that didn't exist. When Merciless West heard this, he was almost angered to death. He fiercely looked at Sue and said, "Good boy, you've learned how to trick me now, haven't you? You even tricked your big brother. Can you still be a little bit human?" He was really angry, and his words were almost roaring. Sue curled his lips and defended himself. "Big bro, this is your own trouble, and it has to involve me. If I didn't make up this Xiao Chui, I might have died in the hands of your old lover. Do you think I'm crazy for doing this in a hurry?" Merciless West was angry, but he couldn't do anything to Sue. That woman was indeed difficult to deal with, and this boy was sharp enough to come up with this Xiao Chui. He wanted to divert Impermanence Fairy's attention so that he wouldn't suffer in her hands. In the end, this was Merciless West's own fault, and it was not Sue's turn to take the blame. "I've been helping you, boy. How dare you trick me like this?" Merciless West finally said bitterly, his face full of resentment. Sue had never seen such an expression on his face. He took out his wine gourd and took a big gulp, smiling bitterly. If you don't want to help him, then leave." At this moment, a cold snort was heard, and then a woman in her 40s wearing a palace dress descended from the sky. This woman's face was beautiful, and she exuded an absolute mature charm. However, there was a murderous aura between her eyebrows. It was Impermanence Fairy. Chapter 1165. Looking at this scene, Sue immediately understood what was going on. Merciless West and Wuchang Fairy no longer had anything to do with each other. It was obvious that they were just fighting each other. It didn't seem like they were going to fight to the death at all. Something's wrong, something's wrong. Sue's eyes kept darting around as all kinds of speculations flashed through his mind. When Wuchang Fairy first appeared, she had threatened to kill Merciless West. But now she was acting like this. Something must have happened. "Little Han, stop fooling around." Merciless West immediately put on a smile, and said to Wuchang Fairy with a fawning look. Sue and Handsome Sue's eyes almost popped out of their sockets, especially Handsome Sue. He had just returned not long ago and was dumbfounded at this moment. "Boss, did Merciless West get into trouble outside?" Handsome Sue asked softly. Although his voice was soft, Merciless West and Wuchang Fairy heard him clearly with their cultivation. Shut up. You little brat, do you know what trouble is? Merciless West immediately glared at him. Handsome Sue pursed his lips and muttered, You did something bad, but you don't let others talk about it. Seeing that Merciless West was about to go berserk again, Sue immediately tried to smooth things over. Big brother, don't be angry. As long as the two of you are fine, everything is fine. Humph. Merciless West snorted coldly and glared at Sue and Handsome Sue. Then, he stopped pursuing the so-called Little Chui matter. Senior, you just said that you want to join the Bawang sect. Is that true? Suddenly, Sue looked at Wuchang Fairy and said excitedly, If that's the case, then Senior will be the Bawang sect's high priest from now on. Your status will be respected. This matter is settled. After some time, when the Bawang sect stabilizes, we will hold the sect entrance ceremony for Senior. He said hurriedly, afraid that Impermanence Fairy would go back on her word. What a joke! This was in existence at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. His strength was comparable to the sect master of a second-rate force in the Chaos region. If such a strong person could stay in the Bawang sect, it would be something that he could not wish for. Wuchang Fairy immediately rolled her eyes at Sue and said, Kid, you really know how to play along. I just said that if this old bastard doesn't help you, I will. Before she could finish her sentence, Sue realized that something was wrong. She was really going back on her word. He couldn't help but interrupt Impermanence Fairy, pretending to be confused. Senior Impermanence Fairy, since we're all members of the Bawang sect, we should get to know each other better. Speaking of which, Senior, are you 28 years old this year? When you met Big Brother, weren't you only 7 or 8 years old? He blinked and looked at Merciless West, then at Impermanence Fairy, pretending to be surprised. Hearing this, Impermanence Fairy immediately smiled, and the murderous aura in her eyes dissipated. Kid, your mouth is really sweet, unlike a certain old bastard who only knows how to talk big. Impermanence Fairy suddenly pursed her lips and smiled. She looked mature and charming, but at the same time, she looked a little shy. Look, Big Brother is mesmerized. Handsome Sue suddenly shouted. Little Handsome, do you think I won't stew you? Merciless West shouted with a straight face. Sue laughed. He had never seen Big Brother Merciless West as embarrassed as he was today. This Impermanence Fairy seemed to be Big Brother's nemesis. At this time, Impermanence Fairy spoke again. Kid, don't think that you can persuade me to stay in the Bawang sect with just a few words. The top 10 forces in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 sea all want me to join, but I don't even care about them. You're just a small Bawang sect, so don't expect me to stay here. Sue listened and did not speak. He knew that Impermanence Fairy was telling the truth. With her cultivation, she would be valued no matter where she went. Even if it was the 1 mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects, and 4 factions, she would be treated as a guest of honor. Currently, there was nothing in the Bawang sect that could attract her, except for Big Brother Merciless West. After Impermanence Fairy finished speaking, she immediately flew away and left the place. However, Sue and the others could sense that she had not left the range of the mine. Big Brother, this. Sue immediately looked at Merciless West helplessly. Kid, don't look at me like that. We haven't settled our score yet. Merciless West had nowhere to vent her anger. She rolled her eyes one after another, and there was no trace of a pleasant expression on her face. Hee, Sue chuckled and said, Big Brother, don't worry. As long as you have a way to make Impermanence Fairy stay in the Bawang sect, you can leave this matter to me, okay? He winked at Merciless West, still thinking about how to make Impermanence Fairy stay. Do you really want her to stay? Merciless West slowly calmed down and asked doubtfully. Big Brother, don't look down on me because I'm young. I can still see these things very clearly. I can tell that your relationship with Impermanence Fairy is definitely not ordinary. How about you help me make her stay, and I'll help you put in a good word in front of her? Sui said with a smile. He had lived 2 lives. Although he was a virgin in both lives, he had seen this kind of thing many times in the television dramas of his previous life. The relationship between Big Brother and Impermanence Fairy was definitely a love-hate type of drama. You can think of a way to deal with this yourself, Merciless West said with a glare. Sui was silent for a while. With Big Brother's words, he was finally relieved. After all, he did not know Impermanence Fairy at all. Since Big Brother asked him to think of a way, it meant that this person could be kept and would not harm the Bawang sect. At this time, Big Brother was still angry with him. Sui did not need to continue arguing with him. He would discuss it with Big Brother after he calmed down. My lord. At this time, Feng Chi-er walked over from afar. She stood opposite Merciless West and bowed respectfully. You're already out? Merciless West's expression finally relaxed. He could not help but ask, how was it? Did you successfully refine the innate fiend soul fusion pearl? Is that treasure complete? Feng Chi-er knew what he was asking and immediately released the soul-nurturing pearl. In an instant, a gloomy aura swept through the area, and the wails of resentful spirits drifted. Very good. Merciless West's face showed a gratified smile. Seeing Feng Chi-er's performance, his gloominess from before was swept away. Back then, he saw Feng Chi-er's physique and talent at first glance and carefully nurtured her for a long time. Now that she finally had such great results, he was naturally overjoyed. Everything that Feng Chi-er has is thanks to you, my lord. Without you, Feng Chi-er might be dead by now, Feng Chi-er said. Merciless West shook his head and said, all of this is the result of your own efforts. I only provided you with some opportunities. If it weren't for your strong will and strong mind, you wouldn't have been able to control the poison soul power in the first stage and would have died. If you really want to repay me, continue to work hard in your cultivation and become a powerhouse in this world. Feng Chi-er will remember your teachings, my lord. Feng Chi-er said respectfully as she kept the soul-nurturing pearl. Hearing these words, Suyi's brows furrowed slightly. Feng Chi-er still called Merciless West my lord until now. Perhaps she knew that her brother wanted to take her in as a disciple, but the condition of letting go of the Feng family village was for her to serve her brother and herself. The reason why he didn't directly take her in as a disciple was to prevent Feng Chi-er from only thinking about those heartless people in the Feng family village and not having the heart to cultivate. That was why he came up with such a method. Now that such a long time had passed, Sui felt that Feng Chi-er still had an obsession in her heart and still regarded herself as a maidservant. It was just that this maidservant wanted to live a little longer, so she had to work hard in her cultivation. I'll find a chance to remind her in the future, Sui thought to himself. He felt that there were some things that he should tell Feng Chi-er clearly. Since it wasn't convenient for his brother, Merciless West, to say it directly, he would do it himself. With the arrival of Feng Chi-er, the atmosphere between Sui Handsome Su and Merciless West finally changed. They chatted for a long time, and Sui finally found out from his brother, Merciless West, that Impermanence Fairy's real name was Yu Chiohan, and that she was also an itinerant cultivator. However, Impermanence Fairy, Yu Chiohan's cultivation had always been higher than Merciless West's. After so many years, she was already at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, while his brother had just broken through to the 8th level of the Origin Emperor realm not long ago. Sui was very surprised. He felt that his brother, Merciless West, definitely wasn't like what he looked like now when he was young. Perhaps he was also a romantic. Otherwise, why would Impermanence Fairy fall for him? Or perhaps his brother had used some special means. However, Merciless West wouldn't admit it even if he was beaten to death. He also didn't tell Su-yi too many details. He only told him that something did happen between the two of them, but it was complicated and couldn't be explained in a few words. Su-yi also didn't ask too much. After all, this was a historical issue left behind by the older generation. He didn't need to get too involved. Anyway, Impermanence Fairy Yu Chohan was temporarily staying in the Bawang sect. If necessary, Su-yi felt that he could matchmake them more. Sect Master, good news. Great news. Suddenly, an ecstatic shout came from afar. A skinny old man quickly flew over. Why are you so excited, Elder Wang? Su-yi raised his eyebrows. The person who flew over was Wang Zhenquan. He was in charge of all the origin stones mined in the mine. Sect Master, two lords. After seeing Su-yi, Merciless West, and Su Shuai, Wang Zhenquan tried his best to contain his excitement. He eagerly said, 3-star origin stones. We have already dug out a large amount of 3-star origin stones. 3-star origin stones. Su-yi, Merciless West, and the others' eyes lit up. They had finally dug out 3-star origin stones from the mine. These origin stones were different from ordinary stones. They were very rare in normal transactions. Chapter 1166. It's not just 3-star essence stones. Seeing that Su-yi and the others were happy but not too excited, Wang Zhenquan quickly said, Sect Master, the deeper we dig, the better the quality of the 3-star essence stones. So I'm very sure that there will definitely be 4-star essence stones below. 4-star essence stones. Su-yi, Little Handsome Su, and Merciless West looked at each other, and they all saw the horror in each other's eyes. If it was 4-star essence stones, then it would really be a big deal. A 4-star essence stone was equivalent to 1 million 1-star essence stones. If they could dig out hundreds of thousands of essence stones, then the overall value would definitely exceed the value of 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star essence stones in the mine. The most important thing was that the higher the grade of essence stones, the rarer they were. If used for cultivation, the effect would be much better. However, Su-yi only dared to think about this number. If it was true, it would be a bit too scary. The specific amount of reserves is still uncertain, but the amount should be a lot. That girl Nangong arranged for people to mine in full swing. It won't be long before there will be a rough result. From the moment Wang Zhenquan appeared until now, his mouth had been grinning and had not closed. It could be seen how excited he was. Very good, speed up the mining. Su-yi nodded and said while suppressing the excitement in his heart. He had never seen a 4-star essence stone before. He did not expect that it would appear in this mine. Nangong Ningyue was really his lucky star. He saved them casually and actually brought such a huge wealth. These vitality stones would become the foundation of the Overlord sect and could be used to nurture many powerful cultivators. By the way, how long will it take for the mine to finish mining? Suddenly, Su-yi asked Wang Zhenquan. According to Su-yi's understanding, a normal primordial stone mine would require different amounts of time depending on the amount of primordial stones stored. But the mineral reserves that a general third-rate force could grasp, with sufficient manpower, would take about 1 month to 5 or 6 months. Now, the Bawang sect had been mining for almost 3 months, and they were probably halfway there. Reporting to the sect master, this mine's reserves are very rich. I estimate that it will take about 3 months to completely mine it, Wang Zhenquan said. This time was similar to what Su-yi had expected, indicating that this mineral deposit was extremely rich. Most importantly, the grade of the primeval stones inside was high enough. Alright, I got it. I'll leave this matter to you. When the mining is over, everyone will be rewarded according to their contributions. Su-yi nodded and said to Wang Zhenquan. Yes, sect master. Wang Zhenquan was overjoyed. Hearing the news that he was about to mine a 4-star essence stone, Su Yi's mood immediately improved. He even personally went to the mine to see what a 4-star primordial stone looked like. Now, there were more than 3,000 miners in the Bawang sect. It was quite a large scale, and their mining speed could keep up. Among them, the people of the Heavenly Spider sect accounted for more than half, and there were even a few Origin Emperor realm experts. In addition, the few Origin Emperors of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect were also thrown into the mine as miners, which made them feel very aggrieved. However, under the ferocious might of the Bawang sect, they had no choice but to do this kind of dirty and tiring work. The rogue miners who were recruited here were all full of enthusiasm because they had received their own primeval stones in the past few months, which was also their wages. The Bawang sect was not a black kiln, and its way of doing things was much better than some large forces. Looking at the orderly manner of everything, Su Yi was very satisfied and admired Nangong Ningyue's ability. "Master, something bad has happened." However, just as Su Yi was in a good mood, the Green Emperor suddenly barged into the mine in a hurry. What happened? Su Yi instinctively sensed that something was wrong and couldn't help but ask with a frown. Little Marshal found the elder of the Xianjian sect outside. Seeing that he was seriously injured, he directly brought him back. "Master, quickly go and take a look," the Green Emperor hurriedly said. "Elder Nian." Su Yi was shocked. Didn't Elder Nian appear with Ji Hanua before to stop Impermanence Fairy and save him? However, Elder Nian clearly knew that Impermanence Fairy was not to be trifled with. He also understood her relationship with Merciless West. He knew that Su Yi would be fine, so he tactfully left with Ji Hanua. Why would he appear near the Bawang sect's mine at this time and be seriously injured? Su Yi didn't think too much and rushed out of the mine. Is Elder Nian alone? Where's Miss Hanua? On the way, he asked the Green Emperor again. Only Elder Nian alone. I didn't see Miss Ji. Little Marshal is here. When he came back, he looked like he was dying. Merciless West is treating him, but we don't know the details yet, the Green Emperor said. Su Yi's face suddenly became gloomy. Needless to say, something must have happened to Ji Hanua. While they were talking, Su Yi and the Green Emperor had already rushed into the cave hall. An old man was sitting on a small couch covered in blood. Merciless West was behind him, and waves of vigorous vitality were constantly flowing into the old man's body. Around him were Yang Ming, Yin Ming, the devouring Spirit Emperor, and Little Marshal Su. Suddenly, the old man spat out a mouthful of blood. His face suddenly became as pale as paper, and he looked dispirited. However, this mouthful of blood made the old man's expression a lot more relaxed. He slowly opened his eyes and looked around. He has already taken the elixir and his life is no longer in danger. However, his injuries still need some time to heal. Merciless West got down from the couch and said aloud, "Elder Nian, what happened? How did you get injured so badly? Also, where's Miss Hanua? Wasn't she with you?" Su Yi quickly walked to the old man on the couch and asked anxiously. "Sect Master Su." Seeing Su Yi appear and the many experts of the Bawang sect present, Elder Nian couldn't help but tremble and said, "Sect Master Su, please go and save Miss Ji. She was taken away by the people of the Green Sanctuary sect." "Elder Nian, don't worry, tell me what happened." Su Yi tried to calm his mind and asked again calmly. His eyes were fixed on Elder Nian without the slightest hint of emotion. Elder Nian seemed to be affected by Su Yi's state. He took a deep breath and said, "You were taken away by Impermanence Fairy. I know about her relationship with Merciless West and felt that Impermanence Fairy wouldn't really hurt you. Therefore, I took Miss Ji and left. After that, Miss Ji was still worried and wanted to come to the Bawang sect. She would only be relieved when she saw that you were fine. Therefore, after I made arrangements for the other disciples of the Xianjian sect, I took Miss Ji and came to the Bawang sects or mine. However, on the way, we suddenly met the people of the Green Sanctuary sect. There were 2 Origin Emperor realm experts among them. One of them was even at the 6th level of the Origin Emperor realm. I wasn't their match and was injured. Miss G was also captured by them. I wanted to fight again, but Miss G shouted for me to come to the Bawang sect to find Sect Master Su. The people of the Green Sanctuary sect didn't want to let me go and chased me all the way. I used all my strength and barely managed to shake them off. Su-yi only knew what had happened after he heard the story. Kid, I'm afraid there's something fishy about this. After the 7-star sword school and the Gimdeo sect were destroyed one after another, the Green Sanctuary sect probably couldn't wait to hide. They actually dared to take the initiative to create trouble. This shows that they have nothing to fear. Merciless West frowned and said after thinking for a while. The others nodded slightly as they felt that what she said made sense. Not to mention the Bawang sect, the Xianjian sect and the Liuhe sect were enough to deal with the Green Sanctuary sect. However, the 2 sects were busy managing the new cities and didn't have the time to care about the Green Sanctuary sect. Otherwise, they would have thought of ways to eliminate the Green Sanctuary sect. Therefore, the Green Sanctuary sect definitely had something to rely on for their strange actions at this time. Sect Master Su, you must go and save Miss G. Elder Nyen looked at Su-yi with a pleading gaze. He also understood that what Merciless West said could be true. There might be some kind of conspiracy behind this. Elder Nyen still hoped that Su-yi would help. He could naturally see that Miss G had deep feelings for this young man. However, he didn't know what Su-yi was thinking and whether he would help Miss G. Elder Nyen, you stay here and recover. The Green Sanctuary sect, right? If they dare to touch a single finger of Miss Han Nua's, I'll make them beg for death. Su-yi kept his voice calm as he spoke to Elder Nyen. As he spoke, he slowly turned around and walked out of the main hall. The moment he turned around, boundless murderous aura shot out from Su-yi's eyes. There was a red glow in his eyes as if they contained blood. A bone-piercing chill suddenly descended, causing the air in the main hall to turn cold. Elder Nyen, who was sitting cross-legged on the couch, stiffened under such an aura. He only recovered when Su-yi walked out of the main hall. Green Emperor, Yang Ming, Yin Ming, and Devouring Spirit Emperor, follow me to the Green Sanctuary sect. Also, immediately gather the other savage beasts. Today, I'm going to raise the Green Sanctuary mountain to the ground. Su-yi immediately flew into the sky. The flaming winged devilish tiger was already prepared and flew to Su-yi's feet. Yes, master. The beast emperors immediately flew into the sky and stood beside Su-yi. The silver cloud leopard, scarlet wind black-eyed demonic monkey, and the other savage beasts directly flew out of the mine and charged into the boundless forest. They let out a long howl and began to gather more savage beasts. Boss, I'll go with you. Su Xiaoshui flew to Su-yi's shoulder and said in a deep voice. Big brother, I'll leave the mine to you. Su-yi turned his head and looked down at Merciless West. Kid, don't worry. With the Li Fire Mystic Sun Realm, there's no need to worry about the mine. Merciless West nodded and said to Su-yi. Su-yi nodded silently. He then waved his arm and shouted, Let's go! Chapter 1167. Under Su-yi's lead, several figures set off from the Bawang sect's mine. They rushed out with a murderous aura. More and more barbaric beasts were summoned, and a series of low growls could be heard throughout the forest. Standing on the back of the flaming winged demonic tiger, Su-yi clenched his fists tightly. His face was terrifyingly cold. Ji Hanua was worried about him, so she asked the elders to come to the Bawang sect. That was why she was kidnapped by the people of the Green Sanctuary sect. Unknowingly, a terrifying anger burned in the young man's heart. If anything happens to Miss Hanua, I'll make everyone in the Green Sanctuary sect regret being born. Su Yi's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he muttered to himself. The flaming winged demonic tiger was very fast. A flying savage beast of the demon void realm was much faster than he could travel on his own. However, Sui could not wait any longer. Not long after, the Green Emperor led them straight to the Green Sanctuary sect. Su Xiaoshui, the Green Emperor, Yang Ming, Yin Ming, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor all released a terrifying aura that spread out in the void. Wherever it passed, whether it was the human race or the beast race, everyone was alarmed. So many Emperor Realm experts are on the move. Did something big happen again? A warrior looked up at the sky and asked in a daze. It seems to be the aura of a beast emperor. It's too scary. Since when were there so many powerful beast emperors around? Some people sensed the aura of the Green Emperor and the others and were shocked. The Bawang sect. It must be the Bawang sect. Only the Bawang sect can gather so many beast emperors at the same time and brazenly barge into human territory. Many people quickly guessed this because they knew that the only person who could gather so many beast emperors was the Bawang sect. The Bawang sect's people are on the move again. Is that young man going to cause a big commotion again? Everyone recalled what had happened a few months ago. Many emperors from the Bawang sect had appeared. At the same time, countless savage beasts had set off a terrifying beast tide. They had directly overturned the 7-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect. And this time, looking at how aggressive these beast emperors were, it was obvious that something big was about to happen. With this thought in mind, many people began to chase in the direction of the group of people, wanting to inquire about the situation. What was most shocking was that less than half a day after the beast emperors left, another large group of beast tribes moved out and swept through the forest. This time, there wasn't a terrifying beast tide that covered the sky and covered the earth. The number of barbarian beasts was reduced by more than half. However, the crowd was even more shocked to find that these beasts were even more orderly than before. At the same time, their overall strength was even more powerful. Wherever they passed, no matter which force it was, they all retreated. The Green Sanctuary sect was located in the Green Sanctuary mountain range. It was adjacent to the territory of the Xianjian sect, the Liuhe sect, and the original 7-Star Sword School. In the main hall of the sect, several people from the Green Sanctuary sect were seated. The leader of the group was the sect master of the Green Sanctuary sect, Jiang Zikan. In addition, there were a few Origin Emperor Realm elders. Sect Master, we captured that girl. We originally wanted to deal with the Xianjian sect and the Liuhe sect first. We didn't expect that we would alarm the Bawang sect first. Will there be any problems this time? An old man sat below and looked at Jiang Zikan as he asked worriedly. The reason why they attacked Ji Hano halfway was precisely because they wanted to deal with the Xianjian sect and then attack the Liuhe sect. As for the Bawang sect, it was the second step of the plan. However, unexpectedly, at the last moment, the girl actually shouted loudly, asking the old man surnamed Nian to inform the Bawang sect. Moreover, the old man really did his best to escape successfully. This is also something that I did not expect. However, I have already informed the experts of the Jade Tripod sect. They should have better arrangements. Jiang Zikan sat at the head of the table and said with a frown. The Green Sanctuary sect had been living a very aggrieved life recently. Ever since the end of the Alliance Conference, they had not felt comfortable at all. The sudden rise of the small Bawang sect had caused the forces in their area to be extremely terrified. Especially when the 7-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect had been destroyed one after another with lightning speed, it had caught them off guard. As a result, the only true third-rate forces in the vicinity were the Green Sanctuary sect, the Xianjian sect, the Liuhe sect, and the Heavenly Spider sect, which was slightly further away. However, they did not expect that the Heavenly Spider sect would also be wiped out not long after. The person who attacked was still Sui. Therefore, the Green Sanctuary sect had no choice but to make plans early. They were no match for the Bawang sect at all. As long as Sui thought of them, the Green Sanctuary sect would probably not be able to escape destruction and follow in the footsteps of the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect. Therefore, they could only ask for help from the Jade Tripod sect. What was even more unexpected was that the Jade Tripod sect actually agreed without the slightest intention of refusing. This made Jiang Zikan feel flattered. Later on, Jiang Zikan vaguely knew that the Jade Tripod sect had also suffered at the hands of the Bawang sect and was preparing to attack them. The Bawang sect is really too strong. Their strength can be ranked as a second-rate force. The elder who spoke earlier sighed. His heart was filled with endless shock. However, he also knew that the Bawang sect was ranked as a second-rate force, and it was also the weakest second-rate force. Compared to those forces with deep foundations, it was still far inferior. How's that little girl? She must be locked up well. There must not be any accidents. Suddenly, Jiang Zikan looked down at the main hall and said in a deep voice, "It seems that Ji Tianfu's daughter has an unusual relationship with Sui. If that's the case, that little bastard will probably rush over to rescue her. Since that's the case, then this is our opportunity. With the help of the Jade Tripod sect, we might be able to completely eradicate the Bawang sect this time. As for the Xianjian sect and the Liuhe sect, there's nothing to worry about. Sect Master, everything has been arranged. That girl is imprisoned in the side hall. There's an Essence Void Realm cultivator guarding her. She'll be fine." Among the several figures, another old figure cupped his hands and said respectfully to Jiang Zikan. They all understood this logic. If there was really a deep relationship between Sui and that girl, then they might be able to make good use of it this time. Just as these people were discussing, a series of lights and shadows flashed. In an instant, more than 10 powerful figures suddenly rushed into the main hall. It was very sudden. When Jiang Zikan and the others saw this scene, their hearts immediately trembled. They quickly stood up and bowed respectfully to the people who came. "Greetings, lords." As the master of a sect, Jiang Zikan looked at these people who had suddenly appeared with a respectful expression. He did not dare to show the slightest bit of negligence. It was because these people were all experts of the Jade Tripod sect. If Sui was here, he would definitely recognize one of these people. It was the strongest expert of the younger generation of the Jade Tripod sect, Lu Zhuo. They had interacted with each other before. Yes. The leader of the group was an old man with a white face and no beard. After a soft yes, he walked to Jiang Zikan's seat and sat down. Unknowingly, this old man's entire body emitted a strange power, causing the surrounding space to be slightly affected. Even Jiang Zikan, who was at the high level of the Origin Emperor realm, felt a little absent-minded under the influence of this strange power. He only felt that the area around the old man was a dangerous forbidden area. This kind of power and aura was extremely similar to the one emitted by the sect master of the Heavenly Dipper sect, Hong Qianlong, outside the Myriad Spirits' secret realm. A half-step Origin Ancestor realm expert. Jiang Zikan noticed this terrifying fact and could not help but feel his heart beat rapidly. The Jade Tripod sect actually sent out such an expert. This was really shocking. However, it was also understandable. After all, there was a merciless West in the Bawang sect. Without a half-step Origin Ancestor realm to restrain them, it was impossible to defeat them unless a true Origin Ancestor realm expert appeared. However, as the strongest foundation of a second-rate force, such an expert was in seclusion all year round. How could he appear at will? Normally, unless they encountered a major event that was equivalent to the destruction of their sect, they would not ask too much and would only focus on cultivating. This is our third elder. He is a half-step origin ancestor realm expert and has just come out of seclusion. These two are Elder Yen and Elder Li. They are both at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Just as Jiang Zikan and the people of the Green Sanctuary sect were panicking, a person from the Jade Tripod sect spoke up and pointed at the old man at the head of the table. In addition, there were two old men who looked to be at least in their 70s. His words also made everyone from the Green Sanctuary sect suck in a breath of cold air. A half-step Yuan ancestor realm and two 9th-level Yuan emperors. Such a force was truly frightening. From this, it could be seen that the Jade Tripod sect attached great importance to the Bawang sect this time. Not only that, but after the introduction of that person just now, they knew that the dozen or so experts of the Jade Tripod sect were at least at the 5th or 6th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Their strength was incomparably terrifying. This was a terrifying force. Lu Zhuo was the only one who had just reached the Origin Void realm. Lords, I'm afraid that the Bawang sect is already on the way to our Green Sanctuary sect. I wonder what arrangements you have and what orders you have. Jiang Zikan respectfully bowed to the old man at the head of the table and asked softly. However, after the half-step Origin Ancestor Realm old man sat down, he closed his eyes and entered a state of sleep, as if he didn't want to pay attention to the outside world at all. Jiang Zikan was a little embarrassed for a moment, but he didn't dare to say anything, afraid that he would disturb the person at the head of the table. Sect Master Jiang, don't worry. With our Jade Tripod sect around, why should we be afraid of the Bawang sect? Among the group of Origin Emperor Realm experts, the person who had introduced them earlier said indifferently that Bawang sect has Merciless West and the help of the illusory spirit world. It was originally a problem to deal with them, but this time you've inadvertently done something right. Elder Gon Jiang Zikan was puzzled when he heard that. Chapter 1168. The Jade Tripod sect's Origin Emperor Realm expert called Elder Gon emitted a strong killing intent. After hearing his explanation, Jiang Zikan roughly understood what he meant. The Bawang sect's strength was now gathered on that mine. Merciless West must have set up the illusory spirit world there. In this way, if they wanted to deal with them, it would be extremely troublesome. Now that they had captured Ji Hanhua and inadvertently attracted the Bawang sect to come and save her, things would be different. After walking out of the mine, the Bawang sect would lose the huge support of the illusory spirit world. If Merciless West comes personally, then leave him here with us. If he doesn't come, the rest of the Bawang sect will definitely die. At the same time, the Bawang sect's mine will definitely not have more experts guarding it. It will be even easier to take it down. Elder Gon revealed a cold smile. He only felt that as long as the Bawang sect dared to make a move, they would fall into a dead end. Whether Merciless West came or not, they would fall into a dead end. Jiang Zikan deeply agreed with this. There were only a few Origin Emperor Realm experts that the Bawang sect knew. 3 Beast Emperors, 1 Origin Emperor Realm expert, and the sole controller Merciless West. As for Su Yi and the others, they were not considered much combat strength in front of Origin Emperor Realm expert. Such strength was absolutely crushing to ordinary third-rate forces, but in the eyes of the Jade Tripod sect, it was completely not enough. One had to know that there were already more than a dozen Origin Emperor Realm experts in the Jade Tripod sect, and they were all above the 5th level of the Origin Emperor Realm. Among them, 2 were at the 9th level, and 1 was at the half-step Origin Ancestor Realm. They were far stronger than the Bawang sect. Without the help of the illusory spirit world, how could the Bawang sect fight against them? Sir, if Merciless West doesn't come, it will be a huge problem. With him overseeing the mine, it will be quite difficult to take it down, Jiang Zikan said after some thought. It's just a Merciless West. Without any assistance, Even if she has the phantom world, she won't be able to unleash its full power. Moreover, our Jade Tripod Alchemy sect has also invited a mid-stage 4th grade soul controller. We'll rely on him to break through the Bawang sect's illusory soul world. Elder Gon suddenly raised his head and said proudly. It was as if he was extremely confident in the soul controller. Middle 4th rank soul tamer. Jiang Zikan's eyes widened as he sucked in a mouthful of cold air. He was stunned. The Jade Tripod Alchemy clan had actually invited such an expert. This was truly shocking. I've heard that there's a soul controller who's been very active in the Chaos realm. Could it be him? An elder from the Green Sanctuary sect suddenly said with a face full of shock. Who? Jiang Zikan asked. It's that mid-stage 4th grade soul controller who's known as the Supreme Divine Soul. He's a powerful existence who once stirred up boundless waves in the Chaos realm. The elder of the Green Sanctuary sect said. Supreme Divine Soul, Lei Yunhe? Jiang Zikan was shocked. Many gazes in the hall looked at Elder Gon of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Seeing him nod with a light smile, they confirmed this guess. For a moment, everyone in the Green Sanctuary sect was shocked on the spot. The status of a soul controller was high. This was a fact that everyone recognized. As for the Divine Soul Paragon Lei Yunhe, he was also a famous figure. Everyone present had heard of his name. Nearly 100 years ago, Lei Yunhe had once caused a monstrous storm in the Chaos region, and even the 3 great first-rate forces had been alarmed. After the commotion subsided, this Supreme Divine Soul also disappeared for no reason. No one knew where he went. Recently, he suddenly appeared in the Chaos realm again. Moreover, this time, he was actually invited by the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Thinking about it, they must have paid a huge price. If there's such a soul controller, our chances of dealing with the Bawang sect will be greatly increased. Jiang Zikan already had a plan in his heart. Although he would not be able to obtain any direct benefits after dealing with the Bawang sect, a huge enemy had been eliminated. A mid-stage 4th grade soul controller's cultivation should be around the 4th to 6th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Coupled with the soul controller's methods, it was even more terrifying. This Supreme Divine Soul, Lei Yunhe, was probably not enough to deal with Merciless West head-on. However, if he had the cooperation of a half-step Origin Ancestor realm expert, it was not impossible to break through the illusory spirit world that he had set up. A small Bawang sect dares to attack our Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. They will definitely pay an absolute price. Killing intent once again surged in Elder Gon's eyes as he said in a deep voice. The Jade Tripod Alchemy sect had previously sent Elder Zhou, Elder Jin, and the others to the Bawang sect. In addition, there were also Luo Jing and the Golden Spider of the Heavenly Spider sect. They wanted to obtain the mineral deposits and at the same time, subdue the Bawang sect for their own use. However, they did not expect that a total of 8 Emperor Realm experts would be captured alive by the other party. Later on, the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect also used their own methods to inquire about it. They knew that the 6 Origin Emperor Realm elders of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect had all been thrown into the mine to be miners. As for Luo Jing and the Golden Spider, their whereabouts were unknown. Perhaps they had already been killed. This made everyone in the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect furious. The sect master of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect even requested that the Bawang sect must be wiped out and not leave behind any trouble. This time, in order to deal with the Bawang sect, they had to rescue the 6 Origin Emperor Realm experts. In addition, they had to take down the Bawang sect's mine in one fell swoop. All the benefits that had fallen into the hands of the Bawang sect had to be spat out by Su Yi. In the main hall, everyone discussed some things again. Then, 2 elders of the Green Sanctuary sect left to investigate the situation. They were prepared to report the Bawang sect's movements to the people in the main hall at any time. Most importantly, they wanted to see if Merciless West was coming here. Sure enough, not long after, they received the news that Su-Yi had arrived aggressively with a few beast emperors. However, Merciless West was not among them. Let's go directly to the Bawang sect. At the head of the main hall, the half-step origin ancestor realm old man, who was resting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes and said indifferently. His figure flashed and he left the main hall. One of the other two 9th-level Origin Emperor Realm experts followed behind him. In addition, there were 2 high-level Origin Emperors. Our Jade Tripod sect still has 12 Origin Emperors here. Among them, Elder Li is at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. As long as Merciless West doesn't come, Su-Yi and the others will definitely die today. Watching those people leave, Luju's eyes flickered as he muttered to himself coldly in the main hall. He knew very well that since Merciless West didn't come, the third elder, Elder Yen, and the others didn't want to waste time here. They only wanted to go to the mine as soon as possible and settle the situation there quickly. Moreover, the Soul Controller, who was known as the Divine Soul Supreme, was waiting outside the Green Sanctuary sect. He would go to the Bawang sect's mine with the third elder and the others. Next, there will be a great battle. Jiang Zikan was mentally prepared to welcome the arrival of Su-Yi and the others. With more than 10 people from the Jade Tripod sect here, coupled with the strength of the Green Sanctuary sect itself, it wouldn't be difficult to kill them. The group of people sat quietly in the main hall. They didn't say anything else and just waited quietly. While the people from the 2 sects were waiting, Ji Hanua was imprisoned in another side hall of the Green Sanctuary sect. The door of the side hall was tightly shut. The light was dim, and only a blurry outline could be seen. One could vaguely see Ji Hanua sitting cross-legged on the ground in a corner with her eyes slightly closed. Her vitality was sealed and she couldn't circulate it. At this moment, she could only be like a person without cultivation, and her movements were greatly restricted. Phew! Suddenly, Ji Hanua exhaled softly. Her eyes opened, but they were filled with helplessness. I still can't break through the restriction. She had tried many times to break through the restriction, but the restriction set up by an Origin Emperor Realm expert was not something she could shake at the moment. Although she was imprisoned, Ji Hanua did not panic at all. All along, she had the ability to remain calm in the face of danger. She was constantly thinking of a way to escape. In fact, she knew very well that even if she really broke through the restriction, she would not be able to walk out of the hall. There were definitely experts guarding outside. Now that she was truly captured by the Green Sanctuary sect, it seemed that she could only rely on Su-Yi or her father to save her. Creak, in the quiet hall, a small door at the side was suddenly pushed open. As some light shone in, the hall became a little brighter. Da-da-da, the sound of footsteps rang out. Ji Hanua tilted her head and saw a figure slowly walking in. Then, the door that was pushed open was closed again, and the hall was once again dark. Hee-hee, a strange laughter came from the person's mouth. He kept walking towards Ji Hanua, his footsteps neither fast nor slow. Jiangsu, I advise you to let me go. Otherwise, I can guarantee that you will die a terrible death. Ji Hanua had already returned to her quiet sitting posture and said coldly. When that person stepped in, she had already seen clearly that the other party was the young sect master of the Green Sanctuary sect, Jiangsu. Ji Hanua, you're really stubborn. At this point, you still dare to threaten me. Hearing Ji Hanua's words, Jiangsu snorted coldly and said disdainfully, Are you waiting for that little bastard Su-Yi to save you? I'm not afraid to tell you that more than 10 experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect are currently in the Green Sanctuary sect. It's fine that Su-Yi doesn't dare to come, but he can temporarily save his life. If he dares to come, then he's courting death. Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Ji Hanua's pretty face darkened. If the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect was here, then the situation would be very bad. Thinking of this, she could not help but start to worry for Su-yi. Regret welled up in her heart, wondering if she should not have let Elder Nyen look for him. Ji Hanua, you never thought that you would fall into the hands of the Green Sanctuary sect in the end, right? And now, your value is not only to be used to deal with your father and the Xianjian sect, but also to threaten Su-yi. This is really unexpected. Ji Hanua sat cross-legged on the ground and did not move. Jiang Su walked a few steps around her and kept laughing coldly. Ji Hanua did not reply. The Green Sanctuary sect and the Xianjian sect had always been at odds. After the Green Sanctuary sect's plan to instigate the Sea Dragon gang to kidnap her failed, the two sects had reached a point where they would not rest until one of them was dead. There was nothing to say about this. Chapter 1169. Jiang Su, what are you doing? Ji Hanua felt a sudden pain and shouted coldly. She raised her head and saw Jiang Su's eyes that were like a tiger's. In the darkness there was an aggressive light. Jiang Su was still laughing in a weird manner. His expression could not be seen clearly in the dark hall. However, Chen Xiaobei could still hear him say, after we are done with Xianjian faction and Great Conqueror sect, you will not be able to escape death. But before that, let this young master enjoy himself. At the same time, Jiang Su's other hand grabbed Ji Hanua's arm and dragged her into his embrace. Ji Hanua knew what he was trying to do. Beast, get away from me! Ji Hanua shouted. All the power in her body exploded as she tried to break free from Jiang Su's claw. However, her yuan qi was sealed and the power she could exert was no different from an ant to Jiang Su. His hands were like iron pliers as they tightly held Ji Hanua's arm, and she was dragged to Jiang Su's side. I didn't expect you to be flirting with Su-yi. I'm afraid you're no longer a virgin? Jiang Su sneered and ignored Ji Hanua's weak resistance. Under the power in his body, he easily restrained the girl. He stretched out a hand, grabbed Ji Hanua's lapel, and fiercely tugged. With a ripping sound, the young girl's dress at her waist was instantly torn open, revealing a long and slender gap. Get away! Ji Hanua screamed. She could remain calm in the face of death, but at this moment, the girl's mind finally showed signs of not being able to accept it. If something bad were to happen here, she would rather die. Let's see how you can resist. Today you can't escape from my palm. Jiang Su laughed weirdly. The more Ji Hanua struggled, the more excited he became. An evil fire rose from his lower abdomen. Jiang Su did not want to wait any longer. He reached out his hand and grabbed Ji Hanua's collar and pulled again. Rip! Ji Hanua's clothes and skirt were completely torn apart, turning into two pieces of noodles. In the dim light, an exquisite body could be vaguely seen. On her body, only her undergarments were intact. Stop it, you thief! I'll kill you! Ji Hanua screamed incessantly, her limbs flailed about, using all her strength to break free. However, such power did not affect Jiang Su in the slightest. Instead, it aroused an even stronger desire to conquer. Jiang Su's eyes glowed red as he let out a low growl like a savage beast. He pounced towards Ji Hanua. Ji Hanua screamed. She could feel his body getting closer and closer. She was terrified. Imperceptibly, she began to circulate her sword technique, wanting to condense a sword ray to attack Jiang Su. Miraculously, a tyrannical and absolute power quickly swam within her body, as if it was the most powerful thing in the world. It passed through her meridians without any obstruction, and in an instant, it had completed a great cycle. The restriction set up by the Green Sanctuary sect's Origin Emperor Stage Elder was quickly broken by this power. In an instant, a surge of abundant qi gushed out like a flood from a dam. It roared from her qi sea and converged on her arm, Clang! For no reason, the clear sound of a sharp sword being unsheathed reverberated in the main hall, as if it was ringing in the depths of one's soul, causing one's spirit to be dazed. Such a sound startled Jiangsu and woke him up a little from his state of lust. Then, the main hall shone brightly, and a terrifying strange beast shadow appeared. Its body was huge, like a divine dragon's body, and it was releasing green water attribute light. This strange beast shadow had no horns on its head, but it was no different from a divine dragon in other places. As soon as he appeared, he rushed towards Jiangsu. Roar! With a terrifying roar, the strange beast opened its huge mouth and swallowed Jiangsu in an instant. Then, the strange beast continued to rush upwards, and after 50 feet, it turned into a sword light that penetrated the heavens and the earth, and brazenly hit the dome of the main hall. Boom! With a loud sound, the entire main hall shook as if it was about to collapse. Under the attack of this terrifying power, the dome of the main hall was blown up and turned into dust. The other half of the wall was also completely blown up, and the scene was a mess. And that sword light rushed all the way to the 9th heaven, and in an instant, wind and thunder filled the sky, and the sound of the heavens resounded. Endless dark clouds rolled over, and strange phenomena appeared for a long time without stopping. This, Jihan Nua sat paralyzed in the main hall in a daze. Her eyes were wide open, and she was still in a trance. She saw that after the strange beast rushed out, Jiangsu's figure was still there, but he was directly lying on the ground, and all his vitality had been completely lost, and there was not the slightest movement. This hornless dragon sword art, Jihan Nua did not recover for a long time, and she gradually understood what had happened. Just now, at the critical moment, she instinctively wanted to use the hornless dragon sword art to fight against Jiangsu. But what she did not expect was that this sword art was actually so powerful. She did not know how to use it, but it actually broke through all the shackles in her body, and her vitality instantly returned. Moreover, the hornless dragon sword art displayed a terrifying power, instantly killing Jiangsu, and even tearing down the main hall. The hornless dragon sword art is not only a sword art, but also a secret method. At this time, Jihan Nua began to think of this layer. The hornless dragon sword art was something that she obtained in the secret realm of myriad spirits, and Sui after they were trapped in the illusory spirit boundary. At that time, besides feeling that the hornless dragon sword art was extremely extraordinary, Jihan also faintly felt that it was not just a sword art, but after studying it for a long time, she did not get any results. No one had expected that at this critical juncture, the hornless dragon sword art would suddenly unleash such a terrifying power. Jihan Nua's eyes suddenly welled up with tears. She was really scared just now, but in an instant there was a glimmer of hope. It was really unexpected. In the blink of an eye, all of this happened in just a short moment. Jihan Nua did not have time to think. She tied up the torn clothes on her body, and her delicate body flashed out, directly stepping on the ruins of the main hall and soaring into the sky. The water attribute energy formed under her feet, and it lifted the young girl's body out of the main hall quickly. What happened? Outside, the Green Sanctuary sect's members reacted extremely quickly. Unless most of them were nervously preparing to deal with the Bawang sect, there was still a second-level Origin Void stage powerhouse who had been guarding outside the main hall, guarding Jihan Nua. He also knew that Jiangsu had entered the main hall, but at this moment, the main hall's sudden collapse shocked this powerhouse. When he rushed in from the side of the door that was still intact, he just happened to see Jihan Nua's figure flashing out. Young sect leader. This second-level Origin Void stage powerhouse saw Jiangsu with a glance, but at this moment, their young sect leader had turned into an ice-cold corpse lying on the ground. Bastard! This powerhouse shouted out explosively. Never had he imagined that the young sect leader had actually died, and the young girl had instead fled. This was something that he was unable to wrap his head around no matter what. How could an Origin Void stage young girl break open a restriction set up by an Origin Monarch stage powerhouse? But now wasn't the time to ponder this question. This Origin Void stage powerhouse's figure flashed out into the sky and charged into midair. Then he chased after Ji-Han Nuo with absolute speed. A large saber was held in his hand, and amidst the terrifying Origin energy that seethed, the entire saber's body was plated with a layer of crimson gold light, and its fierce and sharp aura sliced horizontally and vertically, emitting howls in the sky. "Where do you think you're going?" The Origin Void stage powerhouse shouted out loudly, and he swiftly closed the distance between him and Ji-Han Nuo. A terrifying attack was brewing in his hand. He would surely be punished by the sect leader for the death of the young sect leader, and this debt had to be settled on the young girl before him. When he saw the distance between the two of them growing closer and closer, this Origin Void stage powerhouse intended to fiercely strike the young girl to vent the anger in his heart. However, just as he was about to make his move, he saw the young girl actually take the initiative to turn around. Both of her hands were raised in front of her, and her 10 slender fingers were rapidly forming sword seals. Finally, her right hand was like a sword, and she pointed it forward. Roar! Another earth-shattering dragon's roar rang out, and it directly rushed into one's soul, causing the Origin Void stage powerhouse's legs to go soft, and he almost fell from the sky. A green sword aura, carrying the power to tear apart the heavens and earth, attacked him from above. "You overestimate yourself." This Origin Void stage powerhouse suppressed the astonishment in his heart, but he still didn't feel that a young girl at the Origin Void stage could pose any threat to him. As he spoke, the large saber in his hand suddenly slashed out, and a crimson gold saber ray cut through the sky, as if it had been refined by the heavens, and turned into a long rainbow, and fiercely collided with the sword aura in front of him. Chi. The saber ray and sword aura tore and rubbed against each other, and the sharp aura burst out. The destructive power crazily spread out, and the void exploded repeatedly. In the end, Ji-Han Nuo's cultivation was too weak, and after only the time of a few breaths, the sword aura was directly torn apart by the saber ray. WRM Dragon soars the sky. When faced with this scene, Ji-Han Nuo suddenly shouted out, and her 10 fingers moved swiftly, once again forming a dazzling green sword aura that lay horizontally in the sky. Her face abruptly went pale, and her red lips parted slightly before she directly spat out a mouthful of blood onto the sword aura in front of her. When this action descended, it was as if a god had descended into the mortal world, and the dark clouds in the sky pressed down, layer upon layer, and boundless wind and lightning surged throughout the sky. The aura of fiend gods roiled, and the sky shook. An even more terrifying phenomenon than before suddenly appeared, and this area of the Green Sanctuary sect instantly darkened. Countless gazes shot over from afar, and they completely didn't know what had happened. Opposite Ji-Han Nuo, the Green Sanctuary sect's guardian at the second level of the Origin Void stage had his eyes opened extremely wide, and his eyes were filled with endless terror. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.